significant gap up here for the S&P 500 as we await the PCE and GDP data that's coming out at 8:30 a.m. Guys, we'll definitely go over that a couple times before we get that printed in about half an hour. But as you can see, NASDAQ well above yesterday's high, even as it continues that push to the upside. SPY, as you can tell, not quite at yesterday's high yet, but still gapping up here. Take a look as well at USOs. We continue to get comments on the situation in the Middle East when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. Some concerns here now coming from Iran with regards to the Strait of Hormuz and more potentially blocking of that strait. Marco Rubio also opining on the strait during some comments made this morning. That's, of course, the U.S. Secretary of State. A lot to talk about today beyond this economic data, which, again, we will get into for sure. A lot of these stocks that we're going to be watching are tech, and a lot of that gap up in the SPY. NASDAQ being led here by MU, Micron, and its memory appears. Massive earnings report here for MU. This is a rare earnings report that did better than what the market expected, with strong guidance and actually gaps to the upside. Tons of other tech names on watch: Intel, IBM, Qualcomm, SpaceX also being called potentially a sign of a bubble by an insurance CIO. So interesting look here, Sharif. Lots to look at today. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. USO giving up all its pre-war gains. So if you're concerned about the strait, the market isn't. CVX also looking to drop prices. President Trump putting pressure on a lot of these oil companies. The CFO coming out this morning on European television saying that they're trying to get prices a little bit lower. Intel also with coverage now by Goldman Sachs. Not too flattering here with a neutral rating and $150 price target, regardless, up 5% here to start the morning. And IBM, 1 nanometer, okay, up 2.5% here as they look to make the world's smallest chip. And Baba trying to distill the world's frontier model. Anthropic accusing Alibaba of using distillation methods to steal some of its LLM. And then we have GLW with a dividend yesterday, up beautifully here, 6.5%. BlackBerry reporting this morning as well, up 7 1/3, and Darden, DRI, down 3 1/3 today.
Yeah, poor Olive Garden maker Darden there. I do want to talk about as well here, guys, this PCE data coming out. So again, we are expecting for the most part slightly hotter than prior PCE for month over month, year over year, core and non-core. GDP also on watch again, 1.6 was that consensus forecast prior here. 0.5%. Now, Sharif, given how much we've gapped up with these Micron earnings, this could be really interesting for the market depending on what print we get. If we get something cooler than expected, we could potentially go even much higher than we currently are.
Yeah, I think the market's forecasting probably a reduction in the headline number as the war comes to hopefully an end. As I mentioned at the top of the show, USO has given up all its war premium. So we're below that level now on whether you're looking at Brent or WTI. So I think that some of that is already baked in. The inflation that we've already had is already showing up in prices. The question for me, though, is do you get some sort of lag effect, right? You're talking about, input costs, food specifically. These things may not show up immediately.
It should be an exciting one. Again, guys, don't go anywhere. 8:27 a.m. or in 27 minutes at 8:30 a.m. My apologies. We're going to be getting this PCE data, but it is 8:03, as I was trying to say there. And we have for you Neil and Joe. So good morning and welcome, Joe. Good morning, Neil. How are you guys doing today? Are you ready?
Oh, we're ready. We're absolutely ready. I mean, like, there's a lot of news. No questions asked. But when you actually break it down, Micron just put up a quarter where if you compare it to like NVIDIA from like a year ago, they're making more net income.
Yeah.
And trading at like a quarter of the valuation. Like that's where we're at right now. So you could, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And the thing about it is, it's like it's rising all the ships. It's obviously we have PCE to get through. I understand, PCE, if it comes way too hot, you could get some selling. There probably also looks like they're already trying to do a little bit of profit taking here. Like you're seeing a little bit of a slide going in, not much, but up 17 points. You're bigger than the expected move. So whenever you're that, a lot of times you'll see a little bit more continuation. But I mean, come on, like it's absolutely ridiculously impressive when you look at the quarter. Like there wasn't a single thing that you could point to, not even like a smidge where you're like, okay, well that is hinting at weakness.
It's
none.
Every sign of just a complete super cycle. I mean, the company just posted ridiculous numbers, as Neil just mentioned. The guidance is insane. disclosing the fact that they have 16 long-term agreements. You're getting Anthropic in the mix as well too. So I mean, listen, I just did a little percentage metric on the Nasdaq. You got 5%, and then now you've already cut that in more than half. These guys, SanDisk is up 15.25%. Western Digital is up 12%. DRAM's up 12 1/3. So I mean, this is everything you expect, and it's literally the epitome of a super cycle. Now, the bottleneck is apparently supposed to hold on until late 2027. So this is what I was talking about. If you get any form of dip, I think it's a good opportunity to get involved in some of these names. And the chances are, if you weren't buying before the earnings report, you're in a whole heap of trouble right now, because what do? Like, you're on the sidelines. Are you going to chase? Me, I have an issue with that. I don't feel like I want to. You had that 13% pullback in DRAM. You had that 13% pullback in SanDisk as well too, Neil. And then sure enough, in the span of one report, 20%. So you hit 20% in SanDisk, and then now you're having some price targets up to $2,500. It's $2,200 right now. You were lucky to get $1,900, a little bit south of that, and then bang, off to the races it goes, right? Like, here's Western Digital at WDC. Western Digital, oh, okay, were you thinking about you're going to get a little bit more? Yeah, psych, Neil, 22%, and then right back to the top side. So $725 on Western Digital. Man, oh man, it's exciting stuff to see. But if you're not involved with it, I understand how you get the FOMO, but don't worry, there's going to be more opportunities. I think you'll be able to get these.
But look at the sympathy. ARM and Marvell are up 6 and 4. Intel's up 6. AMD's up 4.
Yeah.
SMCI is like not even good, and they're up 2.5%. Like there's plenty of other names. If we just you can start to pick them out there, and realize that again, like look at the move in the aftermarket that like a Marvell puts on, and you're like, okay, well this is in the midst of a dip as well, and it held on. And what's crazy about all of these, and doing this a lot lately, sort of look at, okay, when do you get concerned? The same trend line that we bounced off of, that is bouncing here in Marvell, that is almost to the T where Micron bounces. Like, it's just like, so like the thing about buy the dip is if you can draw a straight line and it just keeps going up off of that line.
What do you do, though?
What do you do?
Man?
Well, the way I see it is, if you own enough stuff that is following these trend lines, well, understandably, yeah, like would you want to chase the memory ones as well? And we do have some other things to get through. Like SK Hynix got to be like, they're just like this. Ooh, we're about to raise a few billion when we do the ADR in just a couple of weeks, and they come to the U.S. markets, they're going to raise some money. And that's a behemoth in the space. So when SK Hynix comes in, we'll see what the appetite is for that. Like, do we hold the trend there too? We've held the trend now on earnings. We hold the trend then when they come to market. I think that those are questions that do obviously have to be asked. But
like, look at Seagate.
It's hard not to imagine, at least because of what you're saying, the whole chase and this and that, people don't want to chase, that you don't see some profit taking. We see it over and over again, especially on the first day.
Well, think about what happened in the South Korean market the other day, right? So it was like, okay, you don't really have an answer as to what's going on, but people, maybe larger participants, just taking out a boatload of cash, rebalancing, deploying it somewhere else. Okay, yeah, we'll wipe that off the board, Neil, because we're right back where we started here.
Exactly.
Like look at this.
It's like nothing happened.
It's like absolutely nothing happened. It's like, oh, okay, we took the money out. Oh, we got to put it right back in. But I mean, hey, after the open, it could be a completely different story. You could start to fill some gaps, but look at it across the board. I just mentioned DRAM, 13%, STX, 10.4%, Western Digital, SanDisk, Micron. It's insane, man. It's cool stuff. Qualcomm up 10%, AMD up 4 1/5 now, but we have this name, NVDA, only up 1% here, Neil. So, not much we can do about it there. But yeah, I mean, it's fun stuff, man. It's really interesting to watch, and I think what it does is it can prepare you for that next big thing. As long as you do some due diligence and maybe have the ability to get in a little bit early, I don't know, maybe a SpaceX. Is the space trade going to be the next thing? Or are we going to start rolling back into quantum? Whatever it is, the market will find something, and so will the economy. And we got to find. It's our job to do the due diligence and get involved with it. So
yeah, I think space has got its own theme right now. The quantum names, I don't know. Like I think one of the things you're gonna have to worry about for small cappers and quantum is Randy's in the building here. No bananas.
Oh.
Eggs and samosas, and apparently we get
this, man.
No bananas. Okay.
You don't like the powdered egg, Sharif?
Oh, well.
Good old powdered egg.
Like those that scrambled eggs looked a little runny, but
were they runny?
I don't know. I could when I glanced at it. We'll see what we'll see. I'm gonna eat them anyways. What was I say? Oh no, the quantity. So keep in mind, hey, the theme today was the boatloads of cash and money that Micron is generating. So when you start to think about things like the quantum names, you got to remember they're not making money yet. And we're about to get PC in 20 minutes, which if it's like, for whatever reason, ridiculously hot, you know what that means for the notion of where rates are going to be going, and you know what that means for the companies that don't make money. Now, at the same time, when rates go higher, people want to chase growth. So that's not necessarily as bad a thing as it is for some of, like you might just put up those numbers. That's a lot of growth. Well, where do you need growth? You want growth and you want someone generating cash, especially when you're in a situation where we could have a hot print and people want to talk about raising rates. 16
long-term deals to supply chips.
Crazy.
They have the Anthropic situation as well too. Like I mean, this is some good stuff, man. This is structural change, and I mentioned that. Like that's why I think it's going to go on a little bit longer. And everything that we're hearing as of right now, in my opinion, is noise. So if you got some good opportunities to buy these names, I mentioned this before too, Neil. My key metric and what I'm going to be paying attention to is once you start to see the cool down in capex from the hyperscaler, then that might be
I think
a slight shift, right? But until then, it's just like keep going with the flow at that point.
Because as long as they keep spending,
yeah, man,
and as long as we still have a backlog, excuse me, and then it seems like the party just continues to go on. I don't know, like the way I see it, like I also have the trend lines on those stocks, and it's like if they keep bouncing off of it, like what are you gonna do?
Yep,
you just got to ride the wave. That said, we'll see what ends up happening. NVIDIA kind of sucks. What are you?
It sucks, man.
But part of the problem is now you have this direct comparison. You can literally look at it's close enough between the profits right now, like the net profit right now with NVIDIA a year ago. But what's not close is the 1 trillion to 4 trillion, and that's now what everyone's going to be looking at. It's like, okay, well,
think that's going to be the new
Micron's
benchmark?
generating the same amount of income as NVIDIA when NVIDIA was 4 trillion and it's 1 trillion. None of that means to say that Micron needs to go 4x or that NVIDIA, obviously NVIDIA doesn't need to get cut in 4. Neither one of those things have to be true because you still have a scenario where, hey, if the glut opens back up or is gone in a year and margins come down and blah, 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 all that stuff, then of course Micron's not going to grow at that rate. And that wouldn't necessarily mean that NVIDIA is as crimp. But you are still having that pressure where why would money flow into NVIDIA opposed to Micron based on that? The other thing, before we go back up to the desk, I know we have a lot of small cap traders out there that look at the small caps. I sincerely hope that nobody was gambling on that delisted stock that was doing all the volume. And if you did, you were just a day trader getting in and out and scalping it because that was ADTX. Is that what it was called? That's the one, right? That's the one that, yeah, okay, well, it's gone.
It's gone now?
Yeah.
See ya.
So if you were, hopefully that's the thing. You can trade them. It should go to the OTC markets, but I know there was a lot of volume. It was like 4.5 billion in volume, and people were trading and having fun with it, but no, you knew it was a chance it was going to get.
AMD isn't even $1 trillion yet.
Yet.
But that's why it's still not even $1 trillion. Anyways, all right, man. We'll send it back to them, see what they're up to.
What I want to do as well here, because Neil, you mentioned rate hikes. I was like, let's take a look before we get the PCE and GDP and things potentially change at where the rate expectations stand. So currently for that July 29th meeting, we're expecting about just under 66% chance here that rates are held, roughly 34% chance that we get a 25 basis point hike. Now, if we zoom out, we're still seeing here that we're going to be getting potentially a hike in September. So if not at this meeting, the meeting afterwards. Let's see, again, if we do get any change to that based on what we get with the PCE and GDP prints. Let's take a look, though, at Micron. Micron's going to be brought up again, of course, during our rundown. But do you want to talk about these MU and IBM stories here? Micron, this earnings report was massive, Sharif.
This is one of the most explosive earnings prints in semiconductor history, guys. EPS. We can go through some of the basic numbers first. 25.11 ahead of the 20.49 expected by the street, with revenue coming in at 41.46 billion. Past the 36 billion expectation. So a decided beat there. How about the $200 billion broader market cap tech rally that ensued as a result? But there is a lot more than just the top and bottom line here that's very strong for Micron. $100 billion in long-term contracts, at least for the next year. And they've been able to already collect $18 billion in non-refundable payments from these hyperscalers, which gives them ample liquidity because, as you'll see in my next points, they're expanding CapEx pretty aggressively here to meet demand. These are non-refundable deposits, as I mentioned, and they're allocated through 27. But as you know, every other company who's trying to keep up with this AI trade has been doing, they've been increasing CapEx, and no different here for Micron. They're expecting to spend about mid-40 billion in 2027. That's a marked departure from the 27 billion that they're expected to spend by the end of this year. And the reason is they got to expand their clean room fabrication capacity to meet the demand for RAM. And you'll see my next point coming up in a bit. HBM3 is a thing of the past now. We're talking about HBM4, which is going to be on the Vera Rubin stack. So they've got to build that and build that up quickly to make sure that it's ready for NVIDIA. But recall yesterday when we talked about their 81.9% gross margin expectation, at least that's what analysts were expecting. They killed that. 84.9% gross margins, completely outstripping hardware peers like NVIDIA, which has mid-70 prints, and mimicking sort of SaaS companies or software companies, not a physical product. 84% gross margins for a physical product is insane. Last but not least here, they are growing their mobile and their business unit as well. So it's not just all AI data centers, but the problem here is their gross margins on that now for mobile is 87%. So analysts are thinking like there's no way they can mathematically increase the prices anymore without, the likes of Samsung and Apple and all the other handset makers aggressively passing this on to consumers, which of course creates demand destruction. So something to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, IBM also in watch here too with this semiconductor technology update. This is a pretty interesting one here. It's sub 1 nanometer. It
is, Adair. 0.7 nanometers transistor architecture. That is the world's first, sub 1 nanometer. We spoke about Taiwan Semi pushing into the 1 nanometer, IBM beating them to it. Here's what they're able to do. It's very techie. 100 billion transistors onto a fingernail sized die alongside a 50% performance increase and a 70% reduction in power consumption.
You guys watching MU or IBM or both today?
Nah. Well, first of all, it is quite impressive, that technology for IBM. Let's just get that out of the way. And we've talked about this one, bouncing major moving averages. Yeah. It's got a huge support wall. It's a 220 area going back a couple of years now, and is it going to be Micron? No, it's not going to be Micron. I like this story. I like the quantum aspect a little bit better. Again, you get the safe divvy. It's not really trading anywhere. Like, it's not trading at something that looks super appealing today because it's already pulling back the move. So they're kind of like disregarding that headline, and it still gets some of the software like Malang. But you know what? Joe and I turn each other when she was talking about the margins, and basically it's for a physical product, it's cocaine. No, yeah. When you think about it, so like if you think it's like everything, and you should be getting Sharif's morning note if you haven't. Like there's the IBM story in there. So shout out to all our members who get this every single day. And when you go through some of the details for Micron, or if you've maybe even just read the report, for anybody that's seen Scarface, I just want you to think about the scene where it's like Tony goes from being like Tony to just like boatload rich Tony. It's a musical montage, and every few seconds they just show these dudes rolling up to the bank with bags of cash that they're dragging into the bank. This is basically we're in the stock market equivalent of that.
We are.
Where it's like we're in this moment where we're going along normally, and then we get this montage of okay, and it's like a 1 minute 30-second flex in the movie, and next thing you know, the character's in a mansion. This is how we're rolling here for Micron, and NVIDIA had this moment, and NVIDIA went 1 to 4 trillion. And I'm not saying again, it's not about Micron going to 4 trillion or anything like that. It's just that you may not want to do it. All of that being said, all of that being said, when we have these types of gaps up, almost routinely, this big of a company, it's usually a consolidative type day with a pullback where the morning range ends up some kind of a bottom. And if you're just looking at the chart, the 1180 to 200, where the chop was before sets it up pretty well. So you can call most of the bulk of this 1180. The bottom here was 1170, and then there was a close at 12. I think this gives you a bit of a target area. If I just kind of draw a line of best fit into it, like that gives an area where you could pull back. If you hold that line, that gives you a consolidative area to continue the trend, to prove that it's just the regular profit taking and hold the line. So that's where I'd be looking for Micron. I think it's more of a leading indicator for me more than anything. But yeah, I mean, impressive to say. And if you haven't seen that scene in Scarface, then trust me when I tell you, it's a fun one, and it'll put you in the mood next time we have Micron earnings.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're going to be talking about this company here being probably start climbing the ranks, I wouldn't be surprised if it just starts leapfrogging some other individuals. What I'm trying to do is go back to a year exactly and see what kind of percentage return. And to Neil's point, it's exactly what we've seen within that exponential growth within NVDA. Now, I mean, listen, is it cheap? No, I didn't hear anything of a split. So there's still a lot of room to grow if you're going to head into that $3 trillion, that $4 trillion market cap, which I think is totally feasible within Micron, especially with the trajectory that we're on. Now, we know the cyclical nature. Eventually, supply will meet up with demand. And what does that mean for the stock? I don't think it's going to change too much, but I just stand on the same fact, at the end of the day, if this thing continues to climb higher, you're about halfway, not even, Neil, if you're going to head towards that. If the new benchmark is $4 trillion, you're not even halfway. You're not halfway yet. So I think there's a good chance that we can continue this run. April of 26, right? 83 days, going back to a year pretty much. So, I mean, I'm not going to say we're in the early stages, but let's call it halftime, maybe. I think that's fair, okay, especially in these big time in these memory names, right? NVDA has most definitely cooled off, but don't forget what it did in 22, 23. This name just went on some big time runs, and you don't want to discredit it, but it's someone else's turn now, Neil. 22 to 24, you almost 1,000x, 1,000%, 810%. From 22 to where we're currently trading at right now, 1,100%. So I'm still, we've seen that in SanDisk in a shorter period of time. But what happens if, the next couple of years where they say, hey, man, we can't even meet the demand until late 2027, maybe even early 28, then you're going to see these names continue to move. And, I mean, we've had one split in between them. In a span of 4 years, you get one split in NVDA. What does that mean for these guys? So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to chase. It's unfortunate that I personally haven't got to participate in some of these moves. But again, I mentioned earlier that there's going to be more opportunities. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, there's always going to. Probably the best thing about the market is that there's always more opportunities. And again, I promise you, almost everybody that's in this chat, well, I don't know for sure, but a lot of the people in this chat, you're exposed somewhere. You're getting parabolic moves in your portfolio somewhere as long as you're part of the trade. And look, I do see this one thing I want to, because I know I haven't actually seen any of these bad dark pool wicks, but anytime we get like bigger moves, just understand I've seen a few symbols that have had a bunch of dark pool movement on them. Nothing on Micron in particular. One of the things that often you might see when you get these big dark pool wicks, and we have 5 minutes till PCE and GDP data as well, is some of it will be like reporting the overnight market. And another thing to look at, and remember when I was telling you guys about that chop, that 1180 level on Micron? Well, this is overnight in Blue Ocean. Have a look at where the bottom was. 1180. So this is the overnight market, and 1180 was the exact bottom here. So that's just another reason of confluence why when I go back over and we're looking at this 15-minute chart, well, that chop and consolidation and that support there at 1180, that was also the bottom in the overnight market. It's one of the reasons why it's useful to track it. I'm not saying everyone has to trade Blue Ocean, but hey, the volume is now happening overnight. Significant volume after earnings, and if you're interested in key price levels, then you got to be paying attention to it. Let's go to Joe for some options info.
All right, guys, welcome and good morning. Let's take a look at some of the options activity from yesterday's session. We're gonna skip this one for now. Sharif, if you don't mind clicking the screen there for me, thank you. Perfect. Now we're going to be talking about IBIT before we talk about some Micron, give our brains a little bit of a break. Where are we going to find a bottom here in Bitcoin ETF? We're going to be looking at this $32.50 strike price. Now, the ask, again, this is going to be expiring tomorrow, guys. We're just trying to look for a potential floor within this underlying asset. 32.5 may be it for now. This supply can be absorbed, obviously, and if that's the case, we've seen some volume step in with this into this underlying around 2:30, 3 o'clock yesterday, which I found extremely interesting. So 51% at the money IV, but open interest sitting around 31,000 contracts open at that level, and then volume 30,000 opened and closed on yesterday's session. Now, the bid in the ask, these contracts are almost worth nothing, right? $10 on the ask, $8 on the bid, okay? And your delta, considering it's still slightly OTM, we're going to be looking at a $17 metric. But look at your gamma exposure, really high, guys, $16 on your gamma. But anyways, I wanted to point out, considering these contracts aren't worth very much, you still get a pretty big return. Something that went from like around $9 all the way up to $32 is not too bad whatsoever, but then you lose the majority of it. This is a put contract. And if you think you close around the lows, and the fact that you lose 85% of the value is a little bit alarming. And that's what makes trading these nearer terms a little bit more difficult. You want to be in and out as relatively quick as possible. Now we're going to take a couple steps back, guys. We're going to look at Micron. And we were talking about this name earlier in the week, and we're looking at the exact same contract, but these metrics are going to drastically change right out of the open. So we're going to be looking at this call contract, open interest 10,800, which is almost identical to what we were looking at before, but the volume of slight uptick leading into the earnings report. Now, what I really want us to focus on here is the bid and the ask. A $60 spread, right? We can understand it. We're at the $1,200 strike price, but we were talking about this name, I believe it was on Tuesday, the fact that, hey, those contracts value were at $2,200 and you lose the majority of them in a single session. It's just cut in half. And same thing with the bet in the bid. If you're looking to collect, cut in half, even then some. But considering you're up 15% here this morning, watch for these contracts to really gain some value. And most definitely, we had a ceiling, and that's why we picked out this level. It's at $1,200. We went to $1,213, so a little bit of leeway there. But I wouldn't be surprised if these contracts find a massive, massive recovery, guys. So be prepared. They are expiring tomorrow to take a little bit of profit. But now, as for some of our Greeks, guys, $17 on the delta, and the gamma exposure will change, right? The closer we get to at the money, which will happen at the open, you're going to see gamma at its greatest. And don't forget, implied volatility is all the way up to 190%. What does that mean? It's going to be priced within the contracts, guys. So day by day, even though there's not much lifespan left on this specific contract, if you have further dated contracts, day by day, the volatility is going to compress, and you're going to lose premium just to volatility decay. So be prepared to take a little bit of profit. We can still continue to run, and there's nothing wrong with rolling your contracts either, guys. That's always an option in options world. Let's send it back to you.
We have 5 seconds now until numbers. PCE year over year, we're looking for 4.1% versus 3.8% prior. We're starting to get all these prints coming through here, guys. I do apologize. Negative 4.5% for durable goods orders. That's going to be a little bit better than the negative 5%. Estimate GDP growth rate coming in higher than expected. That's 2.1% versus the estimates here. So I'm just waiting for everything to load of 1.6%. Core PCE month over month, 0.3% versus 0.3% expected, so it's going to be in line. Personal income, 0.7% versus 0.4% expected, higher than expected. Personal spending month over month, basically in line with estimates here, about 0.7% versus 0.6% expected. PCE month over month, non-core, 0.4% compared to estimates of 0.5%. PCE year over year, 4.1% in line with estimates of 4.1%, but above that prior print here of 3.8%. So mostly in line here. Data for PCE, and again, higher than expected GDP by about 0.5%. Good look here, guys, for the NASDAQ. Looks like the market enjoyed, or rather at least responded well to this PCE data today, Sharif.
Yeah. Local highs here for the triple Qs, trying to work back into 728. Good look, good GDP number there. A lot of expectations that there was going to be a little bit weaker because of the war and perhaps some of the effects it had on multiple industries. But hey, good look here, Adara.
Yeah, good look there. I'm just going to put up that GDP data so you guys can see it again. 2.1% versus 1.6% expected. Final GDP print for Q1 of 2026. Before we go back over there to Neil and Joe, I believe Joe mentioned IBIT during the option segment, and crypto is going to be in watch because we've now bounced twice this month off of that $59,000 level, getting a little bit precarious, but nice support.
58,995 is the low on Thursday. That is the lowest price since October of 24, right before the election of President Donald Trump, and a 52% decline from all-time highs. Let's talk about the bearish options volume here, Joey. Traders aggressively bought protective put options with put volume, doubling call volume yesterday. 275,000 puts, 129,000 calls. That's for IBIT, of course. In the premium imbalance, this is quite interesting. Out of $187 million in total premiums traded for IBIT, 144 was spent on puts, and 19 of the top 20 most traded contracts were also puts. Key targets, the most heavily traded contract, though, was a put expiring this Friday with a $32.50 strike price, which implies, or for it to actually hit, Bitcoin would have to drop another 4.5% for that contract to be profitable. Expected volatility here sits at 53, and that's indicating that market anticipates price swing of about 3% per day. That could be plus or minus, so we'll have to wait and see.
Before we send you back to the guys, I do want to go over these numbers one last time here. PCE month over month, 0.4% versus 0.5% expected. Year over year, 4.1% versus 4.1% expected, so in line. Core year over year also in line, 3.4% versus 3.4% expected. And then core PCE month over month, 0.3% versus 0.3% expected. So everything in line except for a lower than expected non-core month over month PCE print. You also had GDP here, and this is probably why you had this move up in the market. That's 2.1% versus the consensus and forecast of 1.6%. So higher than expected GDP number, mostly in line PCE prints. Well received by the market, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, sometimes it's a hot print, but it's not worse than what we're anticipating. When you're anticipating a hot print and you get it and it's not worse, this is what can happen. That being said, put it in perspective. I have a 60-minute chart up here on the NQ. We just nicked the overnight highs and are right back into the same range we were at, which effectively was, what are we talking here? Halfway down in the dumps. Early on in yesterday's session. So yeah, we're holding on to the gains. Nothing too crazy, but if we're gonna talk about what's good, then
That's good.
Well, I know we were just talking about Bitcoin holding at 59, and I get it. It hasn't lost the level, but on a monthly chart, this is the ledge that we sit on a monthly for Bitcoin. And I was going over this and basically saying you lose this area here, we see the 50, and then you've got trend support at 30,000. If we get a little bit more granular, about it here. What do I see? There was the flat bottom break at 62. Oh, we get back above 62. Let me, where is it? Oh, no, we didn't. Oh, it didn't get back. So when support got destroyed and turned into resistance, and then everything went up overnight because everyone's going gaga, Tony Montana style, over Micron earnings. Oh, did Bitcoin get through that resistance? Nope. And this is sort of the thing. You've got not a million, but you've got a lot of assets, you've got a lot of equities that are trending higher, holding higher lows. You know, when it pulls back into a support or a major moving average and bounces, or a trend line or a prior high, or something that indicates it's continuing an uptrend. Meanwhile, when I look at something like Bitcoin, I'm not really seeing that lately.
No?
Well, I don't know. Does that look like does it look like that for anybody else?
Let me tell you.
So I hate to be that person, but as we mosey on into 62, from a trade, if this is just the way I look at it, I'm going to be a fade on this. And I also, just while we're on the topic, silver, that was a short yesterday. All of that same stuff is going to kind of apply here to SLV. Although I'd give silver more of a chance to trade into the 53 and 54 levels before looking for the fade. It's just a matter of, hey, some things are stronger than others, in my opinion.
But who, see, the unfortunate thing, Neil, is we're going to have the conversation. And listen, I'm in the camp. When there's somebody selling, right? I mean, like when you have somebody sell, like when you have an asset selling off like this, there's someone on the backside of things in the back room buying it.
Fair.
Right?
Yeah, fair.
Right? That's how it works around here. For every buyer, there's a seller. For every seller, there's a buyer. It's just unfortunate that I knew we would be in a little bit of trouble before we had the pause in rates. I was thinking, okay, a couple of rate cuts we had in the previous meetings. Let's see how the underlying asset reacts. Rate cut number 1 gets a little pop, but then continues to fade. Rate cut number 2 gets a little pop and then sells off even harder. So at that point, I knew that if rate reduction isn't going to help this name start to climb a little bit higher, when you have a lot of the tech trade really moving and you've got that decoupling now where you're going opposite, I knew that, I just had that hunch, that gut feeling, Neil, that we were in a little bit of trouble within the space. So I'm not counting it out. Listen, we've known that this is a part of the nature. Sharif and I have talked about it on countless occasions. Be prepared for a 70% pullback.
And we're in a negative part of the cycle.
We're in a negative part of the cycle.
Exactly.
Now, because that's the nature of the underlying asset, over time, do we believe that this specifically really starts to sway the retail investor away? We have IBIT. Like, listen, IBIT was the most successful ETF launch of all time. Okay? We understand that.
Yeah.
But if you have these leverage products and people are just getting blown out of the water left, right, and center, eventually you're going to have to wait for that new wave of participants. And some people may even be like, hey, what am I even doing? Like, I understand you always have the gambling aspect of things, but people are like, why would I make a gamble with a less proper probability, which the return is there, I get that, but you can also look at other sectors in the market if you're looking to play some leverage vehicles. You don't need to go 30, 40x, because we had that mass liquidation event in October, and after that, it's been all downhill from there.
Yeah, there's
just people people just getting too blown out, and it sways them away. It's like, okay, well, listen, some people win, some people lose. The majority of them probably losing. It's just like, okay, well, what am I even doing here? I just keep putting my money in this. I keep getting blown out. Like, why would I do it again, right?
And you do get some of that, but you know what? One way that you can always win, well, we all win every single day if you're in our community, because we have the best trading community out there. But another way we all get to win here is to listen to our good friend Raheem Alani. You can already see up at the desk there with Adara. So let's get to Raheem and Adara.
Thank you so much for being here, back with us. It is Raheem Alani. He's here with us a lot of these Thursday mornings. Great to have you here. Good morning, Raheem. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How is everybody out there doing? Because some information just came out, right?
Yeah, we did have that PCE mostly cooler or in line with estimates, nothing hotter than expected, and
Right.
GDP about 0.5% better than we were expecting. So yeah, inflation very much back in focus here today, Raheem.
And interest rate hikes, and how many will there be, right? I think there's talk around, will there be now 2, will there be 3? I think most people are sentiment around 2, 3.
Yeah, I think definitely that 2-3 area. And I think also now the question is, will we get a hike as soon as that September meeting? Because that's being priced in now as well. I mean, Kevin Warsh, a little bit different, looking a little bit into the whole transformation of the Feds. We'll have to wait and see how this goes.
Yeah, he's stepping into a big role. It's his first call that he's got to make. And, depending on how the numbers were going to look today, obviously what's happening in the stock market, what's happening with the price of oil, and President Trump's already commented on the price of gas and how that's affecting everybody. Going into summer break, how the populace will demand to when they go out on road trips and do things like that, how all of those things peter in, and what Warsh is going to do based on all of that information that's being thrown on his gigantic plate at this point.
And I'm happy you brought up oil because we talked about this a bit off camera. Straight opening could be a little bit delayed, a comment that was actually made by U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright yesterday as well. Yeah,
so it's interesting, like you and I chatted about this months ago, is you have a war and then all of a sudden you say, hey, we're gonna open and everything's fine. That's not exactly the way it works. There's damage by both sides, been done to both sides. So none of us can see what's actually happening there. But one would imagine when you go to a place that's been war-torn, how much of the infrastructure is still in place? I don't imagine 100% of the infrastructure is gonna be readily available and ready to go again. So you've got those issues. So I think people are maybe misappropriately pricing in, okay, the Strait's open, oil will go back to where it was pre-Iran levels. So dollar-wise, we are back there, but I think the effects are still going to take a bit of time to see what that infrastructure is going to look like when the tankers go through. Will they be able to do all these things before they get to the refiners, wherever they need to be? So I think while the price of oil has corrected to pre-Iran conflict levels, I don't know if it's going to stay at that level. I think there might still be some information nuggets that we're going to get from that part of the world around the flow of the tankers and what they'll do, where they'll be able to get all of the things that they need, because I don't believe the infrastructure is going to be exactly where it was a few months ago.
And that also assumes, that we have a situation where the conflict doesn't heat back up. We even already had comments from the parliamentary speaker of Iran this morning saying that America is already saying things that Iran hasn't agreed to. So I guess this is obviously speculative.
I should have prefaced with, we don't know if it's actually going to get to that point. But in the event that it does, there's still all that other stuff that has to get done.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think too, of course, as you're saying, we could have more of a delay as well if we have more conflict, which again, hopefully we don't, but it's very much touch and go.
Yeah, no one knows exactly what's going to happen today, tomorrow. We always joked around, every morning when we wake up, it could be something new, right? By either side. So we have to maintain sort of what that's going to look like over the next little bit until we do get to a deal. And then again, you've got to price in what's going to happen with inflation, what's going to happen with rates and all of those things and how that's going to affect the world. So I still think, even on the oil names that we might talk about, there is still some room on those because they have gone up massively over the past year. Yeah. They've trailed back, but I don't think they have been trailing back up and down with the price of oil directly, but I still think there's going to be some room on that price of oil.
And let's talk about a name that I know, we usually discuss energy, Canadian names a lot here, but Micron, I know is a name that you mentioned. This name, crazy earnings beat here, crazy stock reaction as well.
Yeah, and I was talking about it because I think everyone's talking about Micron and what happened after market yesterday, because you saw it dropping off, and I was like, oh, I guess they're not going to hit, and then they beat it by a little bit.
Just a bit, yeah.
just a little bit. And I was watching somebody else this morning before we come on here, because I only watch this outside at 8 a.m. But when I'm up at 6:30, there's some other people that I'll watch and listen to. And it was interesting to note that last year, the Q over Q number was a 23% growth in Q1. In Q1 this year, I think it was over 120%. So that curve's got 23%. I think it was 54, 85 on the Q over Q numbers. And so it's just been going that way. And enterprise demand is the next kind of lever for Micron.
Yeah, Micron, really interesting look there, and appreciate your take on it. Let's talk about some of these other names here, starting with this CVE. It's going to be in focus here. This is Synovus. I've actually heard some people on our floor, even when we had more of a floor, trading this name.
It's one of the larger Canadian energy names. if you go to Calgary, their office is quite nice, and they are a larger company in that area, and they're less than 20 years old. I mean, they've obviously they're an amalgamation of many things, but Cenovus 2009. But in the last year, their stock's up 86%, and on a $6 billion company, you typically don't get at 100% return, and that's after coming down 4% yesterday, and after all the tails and offs. So Cenovus very heavily focused in North America, very heavy into Canada. So again, that's a name that you look at as a Canadian stalwart, and how that's going to affect with the price of oil, because if the price of oil does move back up, that's a name that's going to move back up, and a lot of Canadian infrastructure on that name.
Let's take a look at this TRP here as well, TC Energy, another play in the sector.
Yeah, a much larger company as well, trading around $100. But again, you don't get companies that are up 50% on the year. Trading at $100. That typically doesn't happen in our worlds. But that's a name that I thought was interesting because it's got Canadian, US, and Mexican assets. So again, depending on which way you feel oil is going to go, how things will resume, and how each of our three countries will be affected. And that's also a name that's going to be potentially affected into the CUSMA negotiations that are coming up, and how that name will play.
Yeah, definitely one to watch then as we get headlines related to that. Couple more here. BTE, Baytex Energy.
Smaller Canadian name. $4 billion, sorry, I say smaller, $4 billion, up 120% on the year, right? Just on the price of oil moving, on the fact that Canada has that safety, Canadian oil does have that safety. So people have come into that name quite significantly. And so the name has moved up nicely. Just as anecdotally, the Calgary Stampede is a big event, like how we have mining for PDAC coming up. So anybody that's in Calgary, you'll get a real sense for how the Alberta energy market is by the vibe of that event. It's a huge rodeo, but it's a huge event for all the energy companies to come together, all the service providers. Everyone's in town. It's weird because you start drinking at like 8 a.m. It's insane. I'm like, I asked a guy to go for a coffee meeting. He's like, let's see if we can get a spot on a patio. I'm like, it's 8:15 a.m. I'm pretty sure. He's like, no, I don't think we will. And it was full, and it's just, you go and you drink and you have fun, and it's a big thing. But you'll get a real sense for how much people are spending, what kind of events are happening, and just the sentiment. If there's a lot of people coming in from different parts of the world, you kind of know that Canada's back in play again, and you'll see that sort of thing. So if you happen to be in Alberta, happen to be in Calgary, or just want to get some intel, go to a bar, meet a guy, and do a little billionaire's intel.
That's an interesting way to actually look at this event. I did not realize that. Let's take a look.
Michael wants to come drink with me, so we'll do it. Michael, meet me in Calgary. I'll be there.
Awesome. Yeah. Shout out to our awesome chat.
Shout out to our awesome chat. Yeah.
And let's also shout out your Kelt Exploration, KEL.
Yeah, that's a Canadian junior name that I've mentioned a number of times. And you look at that chart, it's gone between $6 and $10. It's up only 18% on the 1 year chart. But that's a name that's trailed off a little bit because it is heavily Canadian. But again, if you think the price of oil is going to move again, price of nat gas is going to move again, then that's a name that's got a little bit more safety to it. And it's moved up from that $7, $8 into the 8+. It hit 10 a couple of weeks ago on that.
Yeah, lots of Canadian energy names to watch, guys. Again, CVE, TRP, BTE, and KEL. Now, I understand, Raheem, sorry, you have a couple shout-outs you want to make as well.
I did. I was just telling you off camera. I was trying to run out of the house before my wife caught me to do my makeup. So if I don't have makeup on today, it's because my wife didn't get a chance to do it. But it's our anniversary weekend. We celebrate 2 different anniversaries. So mine, I believe, is on Sunday, and her, she believes, is today. So we do it that way. And so happy anniversary weekend to my wife of 6 years. And my cousin, who's abroad, her and her husband welcomed a little baby boy, Noah, on the day after Father's Day. So congratulations to them as well.
Happy anniversary, and congratulations on baby Noah. Thanks again to Raheem Alani for being here with us, providing awesome information, providing shout outs, and taking a look at the energy sector with us today.
And enjoy World Cup, everybody. Go whatever country you're cheering for. No, I don't know what everyone's cheering for. We've got people from the U.S. watching. We've got Canada. Whoever you're cheering for. Our friend off camera is cheering for Brazil. I don't want to be presumptuous. I'm cheering for Canada. Me and Neil. We'll take a poll later.
Go FIFA, guys.
Go FIFA. There you go.
Boo FIFA. Yay, World Cup. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. Whichever. The 2 anniversary thing, that's new to me. I mean, I don't know. Usually you just have the 1, but hey, if you got 2, there's just more reasons to celebrate over the weekend. We always want to thank Raheem for stopping on through. The other takeaway, which I just want to make sure I repeat, because I don't know if you all caught this, but Raheem, of course, apologizing because he didn't have his makeup on this morning, which the key takeaway is that he wore his makeup on the show, which you got to do with all these lights around here. But no, awesome. And yeah, go Canada. Like we're in Canada. That's why I'm saying you shouldn't be. I'm not going to be equivocal about it. to all of our U.S. viewers, I would expect you to tell me, like when Canada played the U.S. in hockey, rep your country, man, straight up. And you give it, and when you guys beat us, didn't mind the trash talk because that's part of it. So I'm going to rep Canada, is what it is, everybody. And the market, before we go up to talk about some upgrades and downgrades, this move, it's not a gigantic move up in context after we got the PC numbers. But you've got to also think of the fact that, okay, we were gapped up. We're over 2% after what was obviously a bit of a rough 2 sessions the last couple of days. But we're still up in the ether, holding the highs, gradually rising higher. So for now, the initial reaction to what could have been a bit of a derailment to the move this morning, PCE, and of course the strong GDP number helping as well, is still giving us a little bit of continuation. I also promised that we'd get to some super chats. We're going to definitely, I see them, we will get to them, but I do believe we also have some upgrades and downgrades to get to. So, after we handle that, I know we have some super chats from all of our viewers, and we appreciate all of them for sure. Let's get to Joe, see some upgrades and downgrades.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with some downgrades. Now we have Affirm at the top of the list. We're down 1.8%, going from an overweight to an equal weight with a $79 price target. Now some of these percentage metrics may change considering after this print. Now Morgan Stanley giving them the downgrade. PVH going from a neutral weight to an underweight with a $70 price target. That's down from $90. You're down 1 1/3 here this morning. This downgrade is brought to you by B of A. Now, Identiv also getting a downgrade. This is a small cap name, guys. 18% to the south side, going from a buy to a hold with a $3.10 price target. Craig Hallam giving them the downgrade. Now, Apollo Real Estate, guys, you're down 1/3%, going from a buy to a neutral weight. No specific price target there. That downgrade is brought to you by BTIG. Now, moving forward, Micron, the name that we've been talking about, and the ever so popular 17% to the top side, outperform rating, $1,300 price target. Mizuho giving them that nod. That's up from $1,150. Qualcomm, another 10% here today, guys. $231 is going to be your price target. That's up from $146, going from an underweight to an equal weight. Morgan Stanley giving them the nod. Now, SanDisk, another 15%. Man, we sound like a broken record. 5% one day, 15% the next. Now, $2,500 price target on SanDisk. That's up from $2,025. Citibank giving them that nod. And then Workday, surprisingly so, getting the upgrade, guys. You're down here this morning, but going from a neutral to a buy and a $150 price target. Let's send it back to Neil.
Thank you, Joe. Some real surprises on that upgrade list, right? I think everyone's completely shocked to see Micron and SanDisk on there. You've got to be kidding me. And the next time we do this, you'll probably see SK Hynix on there because the ADR is going to be out there. On the rail, and we also have another super chat to get to as well. So they say time in the market beats time in the market. Follow the money, and market rotation is important too. Meg money first. Then, of course, we got the AI build-up. What's next? One of the things that we've talked about a couple times is there's a lot of deal making happening in the biopharma space. You got Merck making a deal recently. You have Viking, which is trying to break out. You've had some, like a name like AbbVie's been doing really well. So there's that, and the XBI is starting to get going. We had Brian Shannon talking about that. There's places you can look where you're starting to get breakouts when you look at the daily and the weekly charts, for sure. And I know that's not necessarily the next thing in tech land, but if we ever do get that real pullback, that's a place which has made a lot of sense to me. I know it seems like everybody has a name that they like in that space. And again, I think buoyed by some of the deal making. I actually saw someone in the chat was just talking about TECH, and I was just mentioning that Merck, I think it was Merck, buying them for like 73 cash. So another one gapping on a big premium, and you see a lot of these deals starting to happen. It's been a big year in deal making. But I got to get to this super chat as well. And I find this hilarious. David, thank you for the super chat. Don't need to show this on screen.
Okay.
But thank you to all the homies in the chat. Let's get it today. You all know who you are. This community is the GOAT. Yeah, because we're not going to show that on screen, David. First of all, we will shout out the super chats, the kind comments, whatever, with TikTok, YouTube, wherever you might be from. This is what it's all about. And what I love about this community, it's not just the trading ideas, it's not just learning, it's not just everyone trying to get better and make money. It's also, the friendships that I see get made in the chat, and sometimes too, like the fun back and forth, like giving, busting each other's balls. I can't say it another way, which is a lot of fun as well. Sometimes you have to be able to do that, and the healthy discussions that happen when there can be disagreements, which is perfectly fine. Like, not everyone should see. If everybody saw things the same way, what the heck would we be doing?
Well, I mean, things would be a lot easier.
I don't think so.
If everybody looked at
everything the same way,
then it's like, okay, no problem. You think this stock is long? All right, so does everyone else. We're going long. Don't you think it would be easier?
No, I don't.
If everybody thought the same way?
The world would be a disaster if everyone saw things the same way, because there would be no edge for anything. I think it's the complete opposite if everybody saw things. That is the worst disaster possible.
How? But you can't be wrong if everybody thinks the same.
You also can't be right. There'd be no activity. I think it's the exact opposite. Like the movement in the market literally depends on opposing views. It requires people to be bearish about things that are bullish. It requires people to have different timeline horizons, different targets. If you don't have that, then you have nothing. Like that's what a market is. If a market doesn't have that, you don't have anything. And that's what makes our community so great, because it's constantly growing and constantly evolving with more viewpoints. And so, yeah, it's easy to say, oh, but everyone thinks it's going up. But if there's no transaction if there's no opposing views. There's literally nothing. Like,
there's nothing. But what market can't you short in?
You can always sell. You can always sell.
Yeah, but one of the Asian markets, right? You can't short. Yeah, you can sell.
That's short selling is possibly a more nuanced and different discussion, but I do see your point. That being said, you can always sell. There are always buyers and sellers, but yeah, short selling is a bit of a different proposition.
Different story.
It's always a different story.
Yeah, I mean, things wouldn't be as fun, right? If everybody, it would just make life a little bit more robotic, wouldn't it? If we all just agreed.
Same thing. I think that's
like
boring.
The same thing.
I think that makes it boring. Like there's a few kernels out there where, okay, fine, like we should all try to agree on a few things. Like there's a sticking point to that. We should all be able to agree that certain things are bad. You can't go out and kill people. We all love our children. Like there's things we can agree on. You shouldn't have pineapple on pizza. The Buffalo Bills are the greatest football team of all time. Like there's certain things obviously that we have to be able to agree on. And with that, let's go back over to the desk. And one of the other things we should agree on is that Liverpool's better than Arsenal, despite recent results.
Are you okay, Neil?
I had to, man. It's a weak dig because obviously Arsenal is amazing.
No, but you guys are making some good acquisitions in the offseason as well. And you guys got rid of the worst part of the team, which is the coach, Arne Sloot, out. And we're looking for a new guy. So my dad's a big Liverpool guy, too. So, I'm not going to hate on them too much.
Yeah, these things that we should agree on seem a little bit skewed towards potentially Neil Roberts' personal preferences. But all that aside, a couple different Mag 7 headlines to get to before we talk a little CoreWeave before this rundown. Tesla announcing their Berlin Gigafactory. They're going to be ramping up their production further. There's going to be an extra 20% production increase in Giga Berlin. Let's also talk Apple here. Now, we already knew this was coming. They already hinted at this, but they are increasing prices, specifically in their Macs and iPads, certain models here due to memory price increases. So you're going to get like increases of anywhere from $100 to $300 on the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and MacBook Neo base models for both of those, and then iPad Air and iPad Pro. I mean, not super shocking here, Sharif. Tim Cook already kind of hinted at this. We'll take a look here as well at CoreWeave, CRWV. Nice move to the upside. And sure, we've got the Micron, we've got the chip sympathy, but we also have an upgrade from Rosenblatt with a pretty hefty price target.
Absolutely, Adira. John McPeak, analyst over there at Rosenblatt, initiating coverage. So they actually didn't even have coverage on this one. Our before buy rating and a $250 price target. The firm noted that CoreWeave operates basically 50 data centers, and it's is one of the largest AI compute providers overall. They kind of feel CoreWeave is looking quote, increasingly like the de facto operating system for AI, and as such, they see upside over the next year for the stock. We've talked a lot about CoreWeave really kind of getting their nuts and bolts in order here. What do I mean by that? Like, they have a lot of these GPUs that they purchased, back in 23, back in 22. They're doing a very good job of monetizing these old GPUs, and that kind of puts the kibosh on the theory that these things only have a life cycle of 2 to 3 years, because now we're going into the second half of this year and they're still monetizing their 2023 GPUs at 125% of the cost that they were charging back in 23. Of course, that's not adjusted for inflation, but a good result nonetheless.
Yeah, with a couple minutes to go until the rundown, how do you guys feel about CRWV right now?
Well, I feel better about some other places than CoreWeave, because I still believe, ultimately, you can say that it was as expected, but it was still a bit of a hot print. I think nothing's going to change for the outlook on rates, and CoreWeave still has a tremendous amount of debt. Like, if we're looking at the scale of like who likes rates the lowest in the AI stack, CoreWeave's got to be near the top of the list, if not at the top. So yeah, up 5%, great, but chart not great. Lower highs being put in. Like, you're in this weird, let's hold on to around $100, but put in these lower highs. So there's some room for this latest rally. Maybe even, like, I don't know, 110 today could be a little something for sure. But like overall, I don't know. I'm just not really. I'm not as excited about them, because I still think Micron is an unbelievable report, but we shouldn't forget that for the last couple of weeks, some of the narrative has been, okay, who needs to raise money? Who's going to the bond market? How much debt do some of these companies have? Like that, none of that went away overnight, right? So I think you still had that overhang there for CoreWeave. And big shout out to Jeff Jurisic. For you, Joe.
Yeah, it's totally right, man.
Someone's
You're
gotta
totally
sell.
right. Yeah, someone's gotta sell, brother. But listen, we're talking hypothetically in Dream World, right?
I like Dream World.
Hey, man.
The Bills win every year in Dream World.
Dream World, yeah. I mean, the Leafs, yeah. All right. Anyways, aside from that,
The Leafs even lose in Dream World,
yeah,
bro.
the Leafs, yeah. These guys can't get out of their own way. It's crazy. The Leafs even lose in Dream World. But no, as for
Right.
USA, hey,
You can rep your team. Got to get through Turkey today. I know you guys play late tonight.
I love US and A.
I love you.
I love US and A. No, it's so good stuff. Anyways, guys, as for CoreWeave, Neil, this is the only name from all of the IPOs that we got to go through last year. This is the only one that's holding up the best, right? Like, you go through the Circle, Circle, Figma. Give me a couple other IPOs that we had there.
Well, good or bad? Bullish.
Well, bullish as well.
That was
see,
bad.
the thing is, what I'm getting at here now is you have bullish as well too. Look where CoreWeave's holding up. Like, this one had a little bit of a dip, right, for a week or so, and then just goes on a big time run. So CoreWeave isn't performing too horrible. It's holding its IPO price.
Fair.
Right, it's above it, to be honest with you. So you open up at $37 roughly, and now you're at $105. It's not so bad. They're expanding partnerships, like they're heading over into Europe, which I think is really big. So I mean, it's not horrible. As some people may not like the name, but I think the stock's kind of speaking for itself at this point, Neil. It's holding up. It's not breaking down, but we know just the cyclical effect here and what potentially could be buying chips from NVDA, renting it back out. And listen, bad things can happen, but what the chart's showing us right now is it's holding up, and you can take that for what it is, considering some of the other names have definitely been selling off aggressively.
So that is true. And kind of with that, I can't not mention this because it's in play today. Cerebras, it's back above the 85 IPO issue price. It broke it in the morning. Broke it in the really late in the day, at the end of the day, and then pre-market earlier morning, it was underneath that 85 again. We had the hot print, which remember, the Micron story did not benefit Cerebras back above that IPO issue at 185. It is holding the line. If it breaks it again this morning, I'm thinking similar to what SpaceX did at the 150 the other day. Not yesterday. I know it bounced off 150 again, but 2 days ago when it did the better rally, where you had the pre-market low, it really did bounce, came right back in, wicked it, and then bounced the 150 level. I want to think 185 like that today for Cerebras. Certainly, if it just goes through and stays through, then I'm only going to look short. But if it does that bottoming tail candle, just like SpaceX did, then yeah, you could actually see me long for the first time since the IPO. Alphabet, Google reorganizing new AI coding tools. Strike Team, yay, the informations. Google moving on that. I mean, Alphabet's obviously going to. You saw last night, right? Like delaying the model, under some pressure. If you're looking at somebody that stinks this morning, they're at the top of the list. I'm sure there's like a small capper or somebody that did an offering or whatever, I'm sure is worse. But no, for the names that we're looking at, already under some pressure, that's not going to really move them. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say it because most people love this stock. I love them too. It proved to me that we're not headed to the 200 period and the 320 level at this point. You know, it's not that far away. We're like 2 days away, maybe sometime next week. You could see this heading down into 320.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if there was only one stock in the market that I could own, it'd probably be Google. I'm happy to get back involved. I talked about the 350 purchase. We're going to grab some more. As long as if it continues to sell, guess what? I like it even more, to be honest with you. The pipeline is just too insane. Yeah, it's just like,
gotta eat.
Come on, like head down to 274. What did you mentioned 320, right?
320 is a 200 SMA.
Yeah, I mean, like here, just keep dripping off a little bit, because if you go back in the history of this name, like every dip just gets bought back up. I know this was a little hectic here in 22. Obviously, we went through a little bit of a bear market where the stock was almost cut in half, but like if we are fortunate enough to get anywhere around 200s, then it's just, for me personally, load the boat on this bad boy. We're down about 17% at this point, Neil. So yeah, 17 3/4. So heading into bear market territory, and there's a couple of names that are on the brink of that here. We talk about NVDA as well, right? Like we're down to about 15% on this bad boy off of the all-time highs. I don't know how you feel about this, Neil, but this is like my issue here. And I've said this before, like, listen, the numbers are so fantastic, and it's tough to compare apples to oranges, but from a technical standpoint, I think we can do that. My issue is that we talked about Microsoft and how you're right back at some 2023 levels. So that's 3 years, unfortunately, gone unless you've been taking profit. I don't want to discredit or forget the fact that NVDA went in like an 8-month consolidation, broke out for a couple of weeks, and then is now giving back the majority of its moves. So
we see where the money is trying to go.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure where it is headed, at least today, or where it has been headed, is a name that's going to be on our free watch list, obviously, everybody, which we will get into right now. Let's head on up to the desk. And yeah, we know what is on it for sure today. What a day for Micron.
Let's look at the futures, though, Neil. First, SPY here, 733.25 is where we closed out yesterday. We keep defending that 732.5 that we spoke about. This is the 4-hour chart. You'll see no closing prints below that level. By the same token, we keep rejecting that 740 level as resistance. We touched it a couple of times yesterday on the 4-hour. We got to it this morning as well on that price spike up on the PCE and the GDP numbers, but we're still unable to clear it, and it was an area of support prior. So we're looking for 740 to clear or 732.5 to give way.
How do traders know what to look at today? How would you know that the PCE and GDP data is coming out today? What about Micron earnings or BlackBerry earnings or Wendy's? Well, all this information is available on our free Trader TV Live watch list. It comes right to your inbox. How do you subscribe, you may ask? You can type in that URL on your screen, but there's also a link in the description preparing you for every single trading day. MU, as Neil alluded to, so correctly, was at the top of our watch list today. So the top of our rundown today, Sharif. Micron, crazy report here.
Yeah, as we spoke about at the top of the show, this is one of the most explosive semiconductor earnings reports in the history of the market, with EPS coming in at $25.11, substantially above the $20.49 expected by the street, with revenue just shy of $41.5 billion. The street was looking for $36 billion, guys. So this is a decided beat there. How about the $50 billion billion in Q4 revenue that they're guiding. Guys, they made 41.46. They're increasing that by almost $9 billion just quarter over quarter sequentially. That's pretty aggressive. And they were able to get about $100 billion in long-term contracts from some of the hyperscalers, and they shook them down for some immediate money, $18 billion in cash they were able to take from that $100 billion. These are non-refundable deposits, and it gives them good free cash flow to go ahead and spend on CapEx, which brings me to my next point. They are increasing their capital expenditures in 2027 up to about, I believe, $40 billion. Just by comparison, they spent $27 billion or are projected to spend $27 billion for full year 2026. It is, of course, driving up gross margins as we spoke about this morning, 84.9%, so 85% gross margins. Just compare that to NVIDIA, which has 75% gross margins, and people were really pounding the table about that. Their mobile and their client business unit continues to grow as well, plateauing though at about 87% gross margin. So why am I saying that this is a bad thing that their gross margins are increasing for mobile and client? Well, there's a reason why, because these costs are going to get passed on to consumers. And when they get passed on to consumers, there's always the risk for demand destruction. That's something they're acutely aware of. But let's get right down to the future here. HBM3 is the reason why this quarter did so well, but it's not going to be the reason that their future quarters do well. They have to focus on HBM4, which is going to be on the Vera Rubin chip stack. And in order to do that, they got to get their clean rooms ready and going, and that is now the new frontier at HBM4.
MU, to the moon, thoughts?
It's already there. We're going to the next planet. We're past
the next planet?
Well, I mean, we're past the moon.
No, we are.
Yeah.
Like at this point, like what are we even doing? I keep not using our newest one. Where is it? It's like, forget about the moon. You got to head to Mars.
Oh, you guys got
Still
that
don't
one?
remember
you guys
why.
You guys are always saying that you don't get these new animations.
Oh, and there we go. Adam James Abroad, USA. Hey, USA doing great in their group. No questions asked. You see. So you're looking at small cappers, you had IQST and KUST, and I promise you don't have ADTX, because bye-bye. It's gone. Gone. No, but for the small cap traders out there, there's a couple ones. And then we have another one, and this one, hey, Vulcan, what were we just talking about? What do you think about Micron earnings? You just heard it from Sharif. They blow out their report, guidance, $50 billion next quarter, question mark. Are we long semis, memory today, and rest of the week? What is your take? So here's... My take is every single time we've seen the double digit, like the 10, 15, 20% up move on one of the major mega cap tech names, we've had more of a consolidative session more than anything else. And then holding that for initial low is the most important thing. I've marked off 1180 on Micron, not just because it will support the last time we were at the gap here, but we also talked about this at Blue Ocean. It was the bottom in the overnight session in Blue Ocean that gives you a kind of an obvious double confluence level that if we pull back in, that's where I'd expect a little bit of the bid to be. Now, in the actual chip space where I'm looking to trade, there's some really interesting levels that form out here, specifically on one stock, SMCI. Like when I see everything get dragged up higher and blowing out, and then I see a wall like this, which has yet to break, or refuses to, it gives me a place where I know I want to make decisions and transact. If we do topping tail candle at the open like this, then it gives me a short underneath. Love the setup because it's relatively weak compared to everything else in tech. If we end up breaking out that top, you've got a big gap to be filled, all the way up to 35.5 and then 36.5. That's great return. So I like an SMCI just from a level standpoint, but if we get down to that 1180 on Micron, that could be a buy signal for things that are at support levels at the bottom. Maybe the Qs, SMCI, because I want to be trading that one. If it's on the breakout phase of SMCI, then I want to be reloading it when you get to that kind of a key level. I like Micron for a bit of a leading indicator, but I'm not touching it up here. I just feel like that key price level, it's been the key to wait it out for the profit taking in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Sharif mentioned it, $100 billion in RPO, 16 long-term agreements, now making deals with Anthropic. this is what we're talking about, super cycle here. This is a exponential growth. This company, we're seeing it front and center. So, I mean, thousands of percent in a short period of time, which is insane. From 2023, you get 2,000% return, right? I mean, in the past, from the beginning of the year, you're getting 235%. So this is some big time stuff happening in Micron, guys. Gonna wait for some pullbacks. I see the super chat up there about someone put $600 of their little brother's money. Let's pull that one up there. Put 14-year-old brother's first $600 in DRAM. He is heart-faced, so there was like hard eyes or something along those lines. He's ecstatic. So yeah, man, congratulations and good to them. 13% on that $600. Things are looking good. And don't forget, this really only came to market in April, right? So this is still relatively new, to 100%. The majority of its holdings being SK Hynix and Samsung. But there is Micron and SanDisk in there as well, too. So things are looking really bright in the future. And, I mean, with this guidance, you're going to see the market start to price things in as well, too, which I think will give you a little bit more price appreciation. So things are looking really, really optimistic in this memory storage.
And they're looking optimistic for Qualcomm. At least they were 15 minutes ago.
I mean, analysts certainly optimistic on Qualcomm here. Lots of positive notes after their investor day, where casually trotted out some Meg 7 collaborations along with a whole bunch of massive guidance.
Yeah, we could talk about the $40 billion, non-handset revenue that they're targeting, or we could talk about the 50x projected leap in data center revenue. $15 billion is expected to be realized in 2029 for data center targets. But in order to understand where we're going, I think it's important to know where we're coming from, especially when numbers this big. Guys, $300 million is what they've realized so far year to date in data center revenue in all of 2026. They're targeting $15 billion by 2029, and they're targeting $5 billion by 2027. That's a 1,500% increase in 12 months. So that is no small feat. And as Adira mentioned, we've got some hyperscaler collaboration here now. They keep the names quiet. There's two of them, but we know which one of them one is. We know it's Meta, and that leaked. And they're going to create custom silicon hyperscaler cloud agreements, and they're going to get at least $1 billion each baseline in revenue by fiscal 2027. So we'll have to see how that all works out. And they're also throwing their hat into the agentic AI ring. They're looking to take on NVIDIA. They're looking at taking on Broadcom and AMD. And the way they're going to do it is this Dragonfly server portfolio. It's designed to challenge the incumbents here in agentic AI infrastructure. The concrete timeline, according to the report here, is the AI 200 inference accelerator is going to launch late this year. And the AI 250, which is a rack, is going to be in 2027. So we're going to have to see how they do it here, Adira, but a lot of big announcements yesterday at the Investor Day.
Yeah, from Snapdragon to Dragonfly. Good look here for QCOM. Are you guys looking to trade this potentially today?
It's not necessarily on my radar to trade. I'm not a huge fan of its price action already this morning. Like, one of the things that, I guess you could like the short because it didn't get much of a bounce at 8:30 when the rest of the market did, and has been like gap up and then just slightly trending down the whole way. In a longer term setting, hey man, as long as Meta's going to keep spending like I believe Sean said yesterday, it was like a drunken sailor, which is a popular term around there. And as long as that is true, these guys are going to benefit. And a lot of names have held. The argument I would use here is you could look at this two ways. Like, you could say, okay, well, it lost the parabolic upward trend only to then make the immediate bounce off the 50 period as well. And then from a technical standpoint, it looks even better when you zoom it out a bit further and kind of get a sense of what's going on at this 190. Like, tons of resistance into a key support level. So you've got underlying support at 190. Now you got the 50 period holding on, but it's relatively weak this morning, so it's a pass for me. It doesn't have a real key level up here to work off of, and I don't like this, relative to the market, I don't like this price action. We get into profit-taking mode, well, these guys have already shown a little bit of extra weakness. This morning, the daily chart looks fine, obviously.
So, a couple of positive things, right? Like, company updating targets for semiconductor business, projecting $10 billion in automotive revenues, $14 billion by 2029, targets more than 18 non-GAAP diluted EPS for 2029. So, I mean, there's a forward guide, guys. Qualcomm raised its fiscal 2029 non-handset revenue target to $40 billion. So, I mean, a strong guide here and an increase. So the stock, and Neil and I were just talking about the fact that, hey, we don't often day trade this name. Me personally, I don't trade it that much. I know you were just talking about this name. Sorry to jump back and forth, and I know we're getting a little bit crunched on time here, but there's ILLR, Triller Group, looking like it wants to break that $2.80 marker. We'll keep an eye on this bad boy just in case. But as for Qualcomm, we'll head over to here. Now you get this strong move higher, and as Neil and I were talking, you break through this resistance zone right here of $200, and then you get the retest. Look at that retest, almost to the penny, guys, and then off to the races. Now starting to slide a little bit. But I mentioned time and time again, I like moves below the volume-weighted average price in the pre-market. So I think we could have a good opportunity. If it rejects, then maybe you give back some of this move, but it could be a gap-and-go scenario here in Qualcomm. Let's talk some Google, as you're having a little bit of an exodus of talent there, Neil.
Yeah, it's trouble.
Yeah, Google AI headlines continuing, and they've not been super great. We did get another one even just this morning suggesting they're going to be reorganizing the strike team to compete with Anthropic, but they have a lot of woes when it comes to AI right now, Sharif.
Yeah, and they're having more people leaving here. So Jonas Adler and Alexander Pritzel, they're planning on leaving Google for Anthropic. Bloomberg reported, citing unnamed sources. The pair are leading researchers behind the Gemini model, which is obviously an Anthropic competitor. At the Cannes event, some of the chief executive of Google's DeepMind said Google was holding its own amid a fierce competition for talent among AI labs. He said, "We have by far the biggest and broadest research bench of any of these labs out of there. We know there was already people leaving earlier in the week, so this adds to it."
Yeah, and Google also, a couple, I mean, 20 minutes after that report came out, we hear from Business Insider that Google's actually delaying its newest Gemini release. So Google AI stories, have a look out, guys. Are you looking to trade this potentially today?
I don't think I'm going to be trading it today here at Dara, but we were just kind of going on a little bit of a rant on the fact that, hey, allow it to sell. Like, you're getting another 2% pullback right here. You're now at $339. Neil talking about 320, I believe. I was saying 330. You're going to look for some of these levels to hold up. I have no issues with this stock starting to pull back. We talk about all of the monthly active users across the Google ecosystem, and I don't even really need to talk about how vast they are from just a company standpoint. Like, we call this the tech ETF because it truly is. I mean, look where you're watching us on is an absolute streaming giant. Watching some stuff on it last night. This company just has so much going for it, in my opinion, to ever be too fearful. I mean, listen, unfortunately, I understand that the talent, people leaving isn't good. But the sad thing in life, and I don't know if it's sad or if it's just the reality of the nature that we live in, Neil, everybody's replaceable, my friend. Doesn't matter, right? Like, if Wayne Gretzky can get traded, and I mean, it really doesn't matter.
Who's not replaceable?
No.
Our viewers aren't replaceable. Shout out to you, traditional development. No, because we can't do the show without you. You're not replaceable. Everyone is every one of those eyeballs are valuable. Look, I don't really plan on trading Alphabet. I kind of said the 2 cents in that, you know, the money tends to be going elsewhere. You have a setback, and everyone's spending heavily. They recently tapped the debt market, and the trend has been down as well. So you have like recent sentiment here and some bad news, which it just tells me, until proven otherwise, I think waiting for 320 is going to make a little bit of sense. So I seriously doubt, I really, really doubt we see that price today. If we do, some things have gone wrong, but we'll be ready. I suppose we'll be ready for it. I think it's more of like a look for that bounce tomorrow there. Alibaba and these allegations. I mean, it's not the first time we've heard about China with some intellectual property.
China.
Boring? Theft? What do we call it?
China.
Yeah, Anthropic not only making these allegations here about Alibaba, they actually sent a letter, according to Reuters, to the chair and ranking member, Senator Tim Scott and Senator Elizabeth Warren, respectively, of the Senate Banking Committee over these allegations that Alibaba ripping them off.
25,000 fake accounts, 28.8 million queries. That's what the campaign of distillation launched by Alibaba on the Mythos preview model. So Anthropic explicitly noted the attack was engineered to copy the reasoning patterns, not the training. This is even more important here. Of its highly sensitive Mythos preview model. That's a system, basically, we know what it's for, right? Because we've reported ad nauseum about this. It looks for software vulnerabilities in new software as well as legacy software. So it is very, very dangerous to cybersecurity. And just 2 days after Anthropic sent this warning to Tim Scott and Elizabeth Warren, they unilaterally disabled access to these advanced models globally. And I was myself using Claude yesterday for some work. And it had a little line at the bottom saying Fable 5, which is the version of Mythos that they put out there for use, is unavailable. I had no idea. I thought I got blocked or something like that. But it had nothing to do with me. It's preventing ongoing and automated extraction campaigns by what the company is calling foreign labs. This is not something new. We've seen this with DeepSeek before.
Yeah, we may have a Senate Banking Committee meeting in our future, guys, over this BABA allegation. How do you guys feel about this stock?
I'll like it better when it gets to $80.
Ooh.
Sentiment bad, tit for tat going on, and again, they could sue the U.S. because you are on the restricted list. It is what it is. Until then, on a weekly chart, show me a green week. You can't find one. You're not going to for the last couple of months. You had a ton of support at $80, so. We can all just wake up when it proves there's a bit of a bid or when it gets down there. I get it, it's cheap. Someone in the chat was like, "Oh, Neil, do you even know anything about SMCI when you're talking about it?" I'm talking about the chart, man. And even SMCI has a cheap name, but it's still relatively weak compared to other names in its space. That's just how it is. Alibaba, if it was not a Chinese company, if you took everything about it fundamentally and just plopped it somewhere else, this stock would be trading at $300, but it's not. So let's wait for $80. Certainly, that seems like where it's going to be headed to me.
Do you own Baba shares?
I still. So when I recently bought, it's not recent anymore, but in I'm old, so my time frame a couple of years ago was pretty recent.
Not that old, man.
That 80 area, that's where I was a buyer of it.
Okay.
And it ran. I took 2/3 out on the way up, too early as usual, probably, and I'm still holding on that final third. I keep thinking about where I want to buy. Don't see a bounce. Don't see a bounce. Don't see a bounce. I'll just buy again at 80 until it shows me a different reason or place to buy. I'll stick with that. Early look on the imbalances, by the way. IBIT 500,000 sell. Penny stock no one cares about. Success 500,000 sell. Wendy's 400,000 to the buy side. So when is the moon? Wendy's. That's what we all want to know.
When is the moon? Oh, I mean,
It's nice.
well, I didn't say anything about Alibaba. Listen.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
No, it's all good, man. We can chime in on quick. Like sometimes, this isn't the first time they're being accused of these things here, Neil. So eventually, something's got to be true. It's completely lying, or the other one has some truth to it, right? So some fishy stuff going on, which we typically hear coming out of China, but they're probably doing the same thing to us as well, too. So, all right, guys, let's talk some Wendy's. Double Baconator not coming my way or Sharif's way. Probably not Neil's way either. But let's talk a little burger.
Who says you think I would need a double Baconator?
I think he'd go.
You don't
I think you would.
You don't know me very well, do you?
All right, man. Neil's eating the double Baconator. Sharif is not. Poutine on the side. You getting the poutine?
Are you
on
crazy?
You're getting
of
the
course I. Well, I mean, I don't need to have it all at once, but
man.
Wendy's, yes.
Bro,
and the Frosty on the side.
No.
Why wouldn't I eat it?
Time out, man. Time out.
Delicious,
Neil,
bro.
I know
Delicious.
you have an immaculate metabolism. I just know it. You even stated it's pretty good. He eats good, but he has a pretty. Look at NVDA really start to get hit here, guys.
Yo,
wow.
By the way, before we go back into the desk, there was a flash on the imbalances, but it already paired. So a small imbalance on NVIDIA, but at 928 hits, and sometimes you get some big movement. We are going to quickly talk about Wendy's and not the burgers, and then come back
look at NVDA go to the downside,
that was
guys.
nasty.
Yeah, that was really, really ugly. Let's send it back to the desk there.
Shout out to that pecan salad at Wendy's. And shout out to all the retail traders here. WEN getting tons of retail attention once again here. A couple days now since they announced that CFO switch.
Yeah, I don't know what it's up right now, but it was up 27% yesterday. At the time of the writing of this article, it was up 9%. The rally is really being driven not by the CEO appointment, but Wall Street bets. And Reddit, well, of course, Wall Street Bets is on Reddit. And there's this individual, Elegant Combination 43. He had a viral post that was really liked by the community. And then there was this subsequent due diligence, and I put that in quotes, of a financial breakdown by this other user, Mr. Night Owl. Also, an exceptionally high short interest at the time of the writing of this article is about 37%. It could be different now, obviously, with the move up yesterday. But Wendy's did announce, as Adira mentioned, Steve Cirulis, I guess he's formerly of Potbelly. He's going to be CFO and the Chief Strategy Officer on the 23rd of June, and he replaces the outgoing Ken Cook.
I'm gonna look to trade this again today. It was okay. There was some good longs in the morning, but they didn't follow through. Had a short in the afternoon that was solid, but didn't really break out. The 850 is going to need to hold. That's a key one right here. And the opening bell is brought to you by VinFast. Shout out to VFS. Want to thank them for sponsoring the opening of the show. One talk we didn't talk about, SpaceX 165. Stop me if you've heard it before. That's going to be a key level. So I will have that one on watch. But everybody is interested to see what the first move on Micron is. It's very slightly down. I mean, very, very slightly to the downside. Still like 1180 for potential bottom. You are getting a bit of a roll here in the Qs. Here, we just do this. A bit of a roll here in the Qs. Since we made the high at 830, we are pulling back a little bit. So just want to caution. We've entered the take profit, dip buy stage, I suppose. And wow, CBRS already at that 185. Okay, that could be the first thing to come in here. Cerebras retesting its IPO issue price. If it does a false break of this low, false break of the low and back through, then I'm going to want that long. There hasn't really been the breakdown yet, though. Here comes the break.
It's the breakdown.
The breakdown on CBRS. And then SpaceX, that's still only at 157, so that's nowhere close.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of names here on our list, guys. We're looking at AMD. We'll trade it via AMDL. We have DRAM is going to be number one as we're starting to slide a little bit by the dip here, but it might be just a complete sell-off on the day and a grind lower. So as my boy Jesse once said, just trade the chart, which I'm going to try to do here at this point. And I said, you know what, man, we got to look at what I would like to call our side mirrors. That's going to be the time and
sales.
Side mirrors? The time and sales and the tape.
Oh, okay. I've
right?
never used that term before.
So you call them the side mirrors there. Keep my eye on some of these bad boys. There goes SpaceX breaking through 159. I mean, I had that bid out at $150. I don't know, did it ever get hit? I only have this on a 5-minute time frame. We'll take a look at 8:30. But there goes NVDA to the downside. Yeah, I went to 147, so we would have got filled on that one. Been slightly in the money. That was my larger dip buy on this one, but poor NVDA. Listen, I'm not going to jump ship on this bad boy. I'm going to keep my holdings at what it is, and I'm going to be looking to rotate into some AMD. Why? Because I believe that this is going to be the next trillion-dollar company. We had this conversation before. We have some of the banks. Shout out to JPM. Slightly positive here this morning, up almost 0.6%. Right? We're right around all-time highs in JPM, and some of these banks are starting to get their ball rolling here. Neil, how are some of the staple names? We have Walmart down to the tune of 1%. So, yeah, it's a really tough look here in NVDA, in my opinion, from a technical standpoint. You don't want to be sitting on too much dead money. I have long-term faith in the name. I just think it's always going to be that juggernaut. Short-term and near-term, I just don't think we have that momentum like we're seeing in some of these other names.
Got to shout out David. He sent us a super chat this morning that he didn't want us to show, but I am going to show you the 20 gifted memberships. Oh, thank you for hitting the bang. I wasn't even on the right page. I was like, shoot, I can't hit the bang button. Thank you, David. We value all of our viewers, but grab them up. I can already see everybody that got them. Look at all the names there. We got Brang, we got Jordan, we got Moamin, we got Jacob in there. So shout out to you. Always kind, always generous, and again, thank you very much. You're going to be able to get, of course, with that, anybody that gets it, you'll see Shreef's morning with all the information and a lot of Micron. So the market's headed down. Micron actually bounced off 12.2. 12. See, it's 1,200 to 20. It's when it's just do a split already, Micron.
Yeah, it makes it
for
tough.
crying out loud. You got to be kidding me. Like, I can't even chew it out there.
That's funny.
Just make it cheaper so it's easier for us to talk about. So maybe people that are like it's gone too far too fast can sell covered calls, like that kind of a thing. Hey, if you're rich, you can sell covered calls. Anyways, I'm just I'm making a guess that most people don't have that option out there. SLV did like this one for a fade. The market's coming off. This not bouncing back into resistance to be able to get it.
Here.
And for those that were like, you, come on, man.
Come on.
SMCI is already down 2 points.
Yeah.
As I said, it's not about the fundamentals here. I wasn't talking about the fundamentals when it came to SMCI. It's just a trade, man. Like, everything gapped up. This did not gap higher above resistance, so it was underneath, and then it does the classic dumps fill.
NVDA about to go negative here, Neil. It's just holding on by a thread. We both got our Javas here. Congratulations to anybody who's been taking advantage. We had this, I didn't really talk about it too much this morning, but we had this long in the pre-market here on NVDA. I mean, small size just to mess around a little bit. After that print, boom, 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 boom. We were up about 1.5% at that point, and then now we just given back the momentum to the downside. So be cautious on what we got going on here, guys. I have AMDL on my eyes, and then we're also in some DRAM, as you guys can see, waiting for that pullback. We got it right there, but I wouldn't be surprised. We started super small from a size standpoint. I'm willing to add into the break of 78.50. So, I mean, it's about 67 cents or so from where we're currently trading
All-time
at, which
high
is totally fine. All-time high on Micron. Watch out, man. Do you think that we're talking about Micron in the top 3 names of most, from a market cap standpoint, valuable companies? Dara wants to chime in on this.
I just scalped it. It was only $7.
I think so.
Like, it wasn't
I think
anything
so.
crazy, but I just scalped the all-time high break.
I think so.
To the long side, you think it's top 3?
If this trend continues, I can see that happening. Cool. But something's happening in Amazon. Amazon. We were talking a lot about Alphabet this morning to the downside, but Amazon is now down $7, 3%, getting absolutely smashed to the downside, as we can see. So like 3% there. We've got Micron. It's still, what are we up from these highs? I don't know, 1.5 points from that same consolidation. So it's trying to do a job, but without some participation somewhere better. NVIDIA's back to flat. It's going to look pretty nasty. Like, you're out of mags, but the mags are all selling here. Just looking up, SpaceX is not doing a thing at this moment. The mags are getting smoked. Apple's now down 3%. That continues to drop like an absolute rock. My goodness, I was joking about 320. Google's nowhere near 320. Google down 2.5%, 336. That's not on any key levels just yet. So you're going to be tracking this Micron move. If it's not going to do any kind of a real dip. So remember, in Micron, it gets 12.30 to 12.50. $20 on Micron is like 1.5 points, right? So think about it in those terms. It was a $100 stock. It's not even moving that much. ILL, Tisha Perkins. We didn't really go over. I didn't look at as many small cappers because it was a lot to look in big cap land, and then had Wendy's on the mind. But ILLR, I don't think I can pull that one up.
You can't trade this one? No.
I don't. Yeah, I see it on the OTC, but I'm unable to pull it up. If it's listed somewhere else, then I don't see it in our database. And apologies for that. I can't see it. So.
Did you watch Disclosure Day yet, Neil?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, good.
Why?
Good. No, I'm telling you, it's easily the worst Steven Spielberg movie ever created. Anyways, there's DRAM, guys. We got it, and I'm not talking smack. It's just legit not good. I know you like space. I like space as well too. What's not liking climbing higher right now into space, even though we're up 13%, is DRAM. I mentioned we got a nice uptick into 79.58. There's a clear pivot at 79.80. Now it looks like we're going to start to sell off a little bit, as NVDA being the leader to the downside. So there is some selling here today, guys. Let's head over. Once again, we're small potatoes. Dooley, if you guys know, you know. Do you know who Dooley is? Neil?
Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah, you busy? All right, do your thing, man.
No, my bad. I was like, so someone in the chat was trying to tell me where that symbol was, and I should be able to pull it up, and I'm getting into SMCI.
Did you get it?
No, I still couldn't find it. Apparently that symbol, Tisha, is on the NASDAQ. She says sometimes things might not be in the database if it went from maybe up from the OTC into the NASDAQ, like that could be it, but without me putting a ticket in or doing a deeper investigation.
Someone said Malcolm in the middle. That's crazy.
We just got into SMCI. Basically, it's not VWAP. It's like this support level here from the pre-market. So I just got in and we're scalping out underneath the volume weighted average price, but this might still be on its bounce. So I'll be a little bit more patient with this for any other entries. Maybe underneath VWAP if it's going to continue, or just let it maybe crest into this 13.2. But I'm on the front end of this, so scalp some out, but we're still on the front end of this bounce so far. And SpaceX is always on the radar as long as it's doing volume. But this is not moving as much. So a bit of a tighter range here for SpaceX. I'm going to stick with 165 as the place that I want to be selling. But at some point, if the market continues this, I might just slip in underneath VWAP and give it to 160 the way that this is going, for sure. David, why dropping when we get good MU and PCE reports? Profit taking, sell the news, insert whatever reason you want. I think that's sort of the thing. Like, we can always try to come up with reasons for price action, but Micron's doing its job. Definitely. And it was still a hot print. Like, yes, it wasn't worse than expectations, but PCE it's still a hot print, right? It just happened that our expectations were of a hot print. Lunch 99 caught Meta on the way down.
Man.
Again, I feel like we get this super chat almost every single day. Caught Meta down, Meta stays weak, Meta stays in the 5s, the 5 handle is real, and it's looking pretty ugly it's not just them, it's the entirety of the Mag 7. I do think. Unless I haven't looked at Microsoft this morning, so maybe Microsoft isn't having a bad day. That's the one I have.
What I was gonna say, like first thing this morning was, as soon as you get that pop, like I think we've seen it over the past couple of reports. If it sells off, it gets bought back up. If it pops off, it sells off. So I was thinking short in the overall market here this morning. We're long DRAM just because I think it's the strongest segment within the index itself. So I'm gonna stick with that. But yeah, the Mag 7 selling off, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to find some things. What is strong today is QTUM, Quantum, CrowdStrike up 0.8%, but everything, there's a lot of red within tech itself. So, Neil, another back-to-back day where we're having some strength within the airlines. What's going on with the airlines here? Cost of oil going down. Okay,
they're flying.
So jet fuel, they are flying. Look at UAL.
Also, some of them are getting Starlink connections. So UAL teaming up with Starlink. I heard AAPL either is in talks or in some kind of progress towards that. So probably minor. That could be another thing. I was looking into stories for these yesterday. Nothing. Yeah.
So, I mean, here we go, like back-to-back days. You go to, and some of the cruise lines as well, strong here too. RCL strong, NCLH, CCL not too bad. I don't even know where CCL is on here. But UAL, AAL, BA to the downside. Oh, boo. But DAL up there as well. So, I mean, hey, man, maybe we got to get involved with some of these airlines if they're going to be strong today. If we crack this level here, we're going to hop out of, let me pull our chart back up. We're going to get all out of DRAM here momentarily and get ourselves a little bit of a better price here, ladies and gentlemen, just because this has not been doing why do you got to do that? Why wonder? All right, there we go. We're all out as it breaks through that 78.30 level.
We're dumping now.
Yeah, we're really starting to sell, ladies and gentlemen, with that NVDA 196.
Look, Nasdaq's lost half of the gains.
Look, yeah. I had that hunch, man. I just had that hunch. Apple down 5%, Neil. Apple's down 5%. Yeah, absolutely. Look at this waterfall price action.
Sound?
Man, what is that saying that you guys often go with? What, are you looking at Apple?
Market goes up like an escalator, down like an elevator?
No. If a tree falls in a forest, does it?
Oh, does it make a sound?
Yeah.
If the market dumps at the morning, does anyone buy the dip?
Yeah, we'll wait here. But this is aggressive selling. What do you think, Randy? Oh, Randy thinks SanDisk. Yeah, SND. Are you in on it or what? 8%. It's just like 18% here, brother.
Sweet
today.
Christmas.
Yeah, DRAM to the downside. Yeah, tech's getting hit heavy, guys. SpaceX still holding on to positivity here, though, Neil. Up 1/5%. But look at this. Apple getting KO'd here today. And then NVDA down 1.3%, going from positive to negative here. Let's see if we can find some bottoms.
Well, if it is the bottom, we'll see. But things are getting slapped around. Oh, this is the wrong one, man. So double bottom here. Okay, you know how I roll. Once you double bottom it, we didn't get the top of the range on SMCI. The first available pop pulls right back in, and thank you for going into VWAP and a prior low. So we short the first pop. Once it hits the low, that's my out. I try not to FOMO the fact that I'm not in the top and take the next available trade. So we get our 2.5 points and get the heck out of there. This is the one I wanted to hit. Because when the market's going down this much, like, it's got to be the old school slap button. Like, you know, you got to keep it real. You ain't seen me in that shirt. All of these, I also have less gray, which is kind of cool. I like to hit the older ones because then you're like, oh, nice. I don't have like gray hair on my head. But the NASDAQ is now given more than half the move back overnight and continuing to plunge. The reason that we could head a little bit further here, Micron still, look, it's beneath pre-market support, but it hasn't gotten close to that key 1180 level. And if you're wondering why does Neil keep saying 1180, if you're watching in the pre-market, I mentioned that was the overall support level in the blue ocean overnight markets for this name. And then if we even throw back a little bit further on a 15-minute chart, that was support last time we gapped up here, which coincidentally was at the beginning of the week. It was just Monday when we had 1180 support. So 2 reasons why I think there could be a lot of support for sure. So I'm happy so far. The short has worked. We just got the bounce in SMCI, so it's holding the double bottom. I'll take that. Got to move on over to maybe silver if we can find some continuation there. I want to look for a reload if I can in SMCI. SLV, meh, kind of a nothing burger there. And SpaceX, that's still looking pretty weak. If it gets to 150, I'd look for a bounce.
Think about the breakdown.
I'm not seeing anything at any bounce levels that I like here.
No, not yet. Anyways, Neil, selling's getting pretty aggressive. AMD to the downside. I'm just looking for some signals here, guys. But we talked about this neck and this head and shoulders pattern here on NVDA getting ugly, man. It's identical to what we've seen in Microsoft, right? Like, you have this pop up and nice, that was all fun and games, but when you have this shelf being formed, it's almost inevitable that you're gonna sell off there, Apple to the downside. But hey, with this waterfall type price action, AMD really starting to pick up momentum here, Neil. In the grand scheme of things, AMD's still positive, but yet it's getting rocked. So we didn't have that gap and go scenario here, guys. We gap up, now we've filled it, and this could be a potential area where we look for some moves. But look at it across the board. Everything on my radar is absolutely tank city on this one. Netflix down, Marvell down 3% after gapping up here. So it is an ugly morning unless, like my boy Jesse's trading the charts. He's cooking up a storm with those puts here. So things are looking good for him. Neil, the thing is, we may get that pullback, but my question being, how deep is that pullback going to actually be? At this point, are we going to get something back towards the volume weighted average price, or is the selling pressure too aggressive? Micron, SanDisk, and Western Digital don't really care what's going on in the overall market at this point, even though DRAM is starting to come back in a little bit. They're still holding on to double-digit positivity, but Dell down 10% here. Qualcomm 5%. Okay, we'll take that.
Here
but
comes 1180.
Look at this all through Bitcoin. Oh, AC Slater to that one. MSTR down 5%. BMNR down 4 1/5. Oh, who's holding on to positivity? Ethereum somehow. That's about to be. Oh, that's about to be turning red here momentarily. And then we also got Datadog, right? So, man, things are pretty ugly here today.
That's like Mr. Jonathan saying people are selling so that they can pre-order GTA 6.
Yeah.
Maybe that is the case, but if you're waiting for bids, you're not finding them much of anywhere. I'm not ignoring Wendy's. Someone's like, you guys are sleeping on Wendy's. That's not true. It is one of the stocks that I have up. Like, currently I'm looking at Wendy's, SMCI again, SpaceX still, and Micron are the 4 stocks that I've got up that I'm watching. And of course, the overall market. Now, this is holding up better than most, but even it just lost VWAP. I would have traded off 850 if we weren't shorting SMCI in the moment, but that happened. It hit the lows. It's still holding the lows on SMCI. But if we can hold some kind of an uptrend, the possibly good thing about a squeeze name or a small capper that's running is it doesn't have to care about this sell-off that's going on in the market. You have a better chance of like a rando finding strength that doesn't have to follow because it's just a squeeze name. But even Wendy's is losing trend. So even this is starting to look pretty nasty. Okay, Micron, let's see what it can do with this 1180 level. So it's coming down into support. There hasn't been too much slowing, but you're starting to see a little bit of signs of deceleration through the lows. So if you like something to the long side, this could be the spot where we can catch some bids potentially. I want Wendy's to hold that 850 for everybody, but it just doesn't seem like it wants to. SpaceX is still not at $150, but it just wicked the low. So we just wicked the pre-market or the post-market lows here and are coming back through. This can get back through 155 without MU dumping some more. That could be a little something off the bottom.
Yeah, the issue is here is like we just moved down so far so fast. Now, what are we gonna do? Like, I don't see anything from a signal standpoint that's gonna get me involved with the long side or any form of a pullback. But then I have to ask myself the question: are we going to continue on that trajectory? What do I have to do? Wait for that pullback? Wait until we fail to establish a new high? We put in a lower high. We look for the curl over here as DRAM. Yeah, man, this was some pretty quick selling. I know a lot of people in the chat were like, "Hey, why are we selling? Why are we selling?" You heard what Sean said the other day. If you didn't know that stocks could go down, then I don't know. Yeah, you got something else coming to you. Bloom Energy though here, Neil, pretty strong. Look at Bitcoin chart. Someone said that they're surprised that you weren't trading this bad boy here today, Neil. We have now
it's because I was looking at something else.
We are almost hit a new yearly low here on Bitcoin. Listen, man, don't like kicking people when
Wendy's
they're down.
just halted down.
Wendy's halted down. You're down 53% off of the highs in Bitcoin, and probably some more downside to come here.
Yeah, Wendy's halted down. Tap 825 on Wendy's. Halted at 830, not the time, the actual price on Wendy's. So, look, I went over to that. Let's talk about the dark pool wicks. I went over and saw that 1180 bouncing on Micron. By the time I even got an order in, it was already almost at $1,200. So I flipped to something that I could lag it a bit, which was DRAM. So 1180 holds, at least for now on Micron, but you're getting a muted bounce off of this level. It's still very much trend down here, right? Like we haven't had a big bottoming tail. There's a 3-minute on the 3-minute chart. Now it's a bit better, at least here. The DRAM's got a pretty decent looking bottoming tail, but it's the opposite on Micron. This actually looks like continuation to the downside on Micron. So it's, the buyers tried at the obvious price, but they're still coming right back in. Yeah, I'm gonna trim. I got a nice little bounce on it, but I don't want to turn this in.
I was thinking about going short.
I don't want to
right
turn
there.
it into a mess. Yeah, you know what? We don't have to fight it.
No.
We don't have to fight it. We got to bounce off 1180 on Micron. I'll go back to the normal chart here.
I think we're gonna hit it.
We got a little bit of a bounce off that 1180 level. That's where we're looking to catch a bid, but the market didn't want to buy there. So what? If that's all you get, take it and run the heck away, because the sells are still inbound. The profit takers are going crazy. I just flipped over and was like, please give me VWAP and hope that I didn't miss it. That's opportunity cost, right? I like that area. For a bounce on Micron. We got a small one, we're able to catch some DRAM, but I might have missed a chance to re-enter that SMCI short. This is just the name that I happen to like to the south side. Wendy's still halted, indicating 827 now. The indicated open there on Wendy's. So for everyone looking for even the squeeze names to go, they're starting to give up the bid. Market goes down. I guess they're dragging everything with it, right?
Yeah, I think that's we got to order shorts here for DRAM. Didn't know that, man. I tried to go short right at 76.50.
We don't have free?
No, I don't think so. I got rejected order, closed for X short sell. So, yeah.
Oh, no way. You're right.
That's crazy, man. That was a big opportunity.
I'll get
cost.
them
I was looking to, if they're too expensive, I don't.
No, they won't be. It won't be.
Yeah, ILLR halting up here, guys. I think it's time for us to head over into small cap land and see what we got going on. This thing's dropping. We're dropping like a rock. So whatever gains we had from yesterday, AC Slater to those ones, guys, let's see what we got going on in the land of small caps. We went over that specific name. Mimi, what are you? Aziz, too. What's up with this Azzy? This is looking pretty good, but Mimi not looking too bad for your boy right now as we're starting to pick up a little bit of steam in this bad one. I got to close my eyes because the selling is getting so bad here in some of these names. So let's keep an eye out on some of the small cap bad boys. Why does that keep popping up? Mimi, we have AZI. All right, man, there's going to be some opportunities within this the small cap land, so I like this. Oh, I like it.
Right, you should have them now.
Cool.
You've got locates. For DRAM, free. It was
was it?
Two,
Okay, so then why
no,
can't-
like it was
okay.
2/100ths of a cent or
okay.
something like ridiculous. It was like you're paying less than pennies to get the locates on DRAM. And you know what? We say this all the time. Like, you should never make the assumption. I shouldn't have assumed that DRAM was free for us.
Yeah.
Because you can always prepare. Like I pay for my SpaceX shorts. I pay for my Cerebra shorts. I checked SMCI to see if we had locates on them. I wasn't expecting DRAM, but that's part of the game. You got to be able to know what you got. Now back into the low. High is saying Bitcoin to 0. Usually, if I had not been looking at SMCI, I probably would have had this on the list. I don't think it's headed to 0. I do think it's headed to 50K. We'll leave it at that. I do think we're headed to 50K. What hasn't completely fallen all over itself is SLV. So while we didn't get in where we wanted, much like SMCI, it's still in the pocket that I can short this one underneath the volume weighted average price. If you're looking for another potential bounce on Micron, it tried at first support at 1180. Right, like it's okay. So the level was correct. It just didn't do much of anything with it. You're looking at about 11.2, the next place where there was any kind of semblance of support. So I think we're still heading down into that.
I wanted that 76 entry on DRAM, man. It's absolutely tank city. We're gonna hit 80s in some things. NASA just getting absolutely destroyed here at this point. Man, oh man, this is some good selling, man. I like the look of this jib here, Neil, because we're gonna finally start to get some high quality names at a little bit cheaper of a price. Now we have Google continuing to bleed. I mean, Apple is down over 5% here today, but it's still holding above the volume weighted average price. I don't want to talk about that name anymore. I just by accidentally split that. Microsoft down another 2%. Amazon down 2 3/4. Tesla down a percentage point here. Broadcom down. AMD, it's red city. Neil. And the majority of these memory storage names have given back the majority of their gains from last night. So this might be the opportunity here, Neil, to get us a little long on. I'm going to miss it as I mess around with my keys here on NVDL. A nice little indecision print off of the lows. Let's get rocking and rolling here, brother.
Well, if you're talking about something which actually has some strength, I hate to say it, but I will show you my BlackBerry, but it's probably collecting weeds somewhere at home. They had a pretty solid report last night, and Wendy's is crapping all over itself right now. So, if you bought shares, you can't afford your double, triple Baconator or whatever the heck we were supposed to be eating. But BlackBerry is holding higher lows. It is holding VWAP. There is at least a structure here that's going to end up working. So if you see me glancing, I'm glancing up to see if I catch something in SMCI again, for sure. But hey, if you can hold trend on what might be a little bit more of an appealing breakout play on BlackBerry, at least this is showing signs of strength. If the market wants to bounce, this has got a better chance. Micron just caught a little bit of a bid. Little bit of a bid there on Micron. Just put in a green candle on the 3-minute.
It's going to blow past it.
And you have another bottoming tail here on DRAM. But there was no continuation last time. Right, like we got bounce, but there was zero continuation. It's looking a little bit better here, at least for now. If you can hold 74.5, I think you've got a little something for muted bounce. But even then, I'd assume more like ride it to the top of the trend, and then maybe look for some re-entries on the short side.
Chef Joe, what's up, man? I haven't seen Chef Joe in some time. All right, we wait.
Chef Joe in the Heezy.
Yeah, he's in the Heezy. Yo, Gorb, where you at, my boy? Where's Los Pollos Hermanos? Where's Juan Padilla? There he is, my guy, Mike Peter Ryder. We got Blicky and Jesse in the chat. The others. Glad to have everyone here bright and early this morning. Man, you would think you'd get a little bit stronger of a bounce at this point. Not looking too good. DRAM did get the stronger bounce. Now, if it cracks the low of this day.
Is it though?
What's that? The stronger bounce? Oh, yeah. Are you long it too? Yeah, 75. You're in this bad boy.
Is it
though?
Oh,
yeah, I know, man. It's starting to come back in.
No,
once these signals start to get blown past, you just got to go with the flow at that point. So I'm going to get prepared to get out here momentarily on NVDA, especially if we don't get the continuation. We are holding up right now, and I have no issues with adding into this position, but first things first, man. Shout out to Hangry Wife and everybody who I just mentioned, Lemon's family, my boy iGrow Fighting. We also got Ryan O'Day in the chat. Blicky, everyone in here. So let's see if we can get this move, guys. We took a loss on DRAM earlier. We had a small win on NVDA, and here it goes to the downside. No buyers stepping in at this point. There it goes cracking, and I'm not giving it too much room, right? Like that's already 40 cents. AC Slater to that one, not holding up well. Looks like we might have to find a short.
No, but you've got to have tight stops if you're trying longs.
Yeah, you have.
Forget about it. Come to the chart, man. If you don't have tight stops in a move like this, don't get me wrong. The eyes well up, and they're like, "You've got to be kidding me! That's $2.50 to VWAP. That's a clean dollar to next resistance. Great, but I'm not gonna risk $2 or $1.50. Again, very, very tight stops if I'm trying it. BlackBerry is starting to go, and we're gonna see SpaceX at 150 at this point. And I see a lot of what is happening here, what is happening there. It's the similar usual, hey, we find selling and profit taking despite the ridiculous reports. This has just been what's been par for the course with these big gap ups. This is extending further than I would have expected. On Micron, I thought you could have done a little bit more with the 1180 level. We'll see what it does 1120, but we're going to head on to Adara to see what's happening now, besides the market defecating all over itself.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean.
Yeah. We are going to have to talk about this market weakness, though, to start this Happening Now segment. NASDAQ now trying to maybe start this new 15-minute candle to the upside, but two straight big candles of weakness. S&P 500 also weak. And actually, as of this point, right on the session, big way to drop from massively to the upside. We'll talk about why this market is so strong in a minute, but I also want to pull up some of these cannabis plays. Not too much of a move, just seeing a report from the Marijuana Moment that bipartisan senators are filing marijuana banking bill as President Trump's move to reschedule is advancing. Let's talk about Micron, which is the real reason here for this move up in the market, specifically the SPY and the Qs, and then as it pulls back, the market pulls back as well. Good look here for EPS and sales, beating on both, and strong guidance across the board. Other things here moving this market to the upside. We did have GDP beating estimates by about 0.5% this morning, the final print for Q1 2026. Let's take a look at Dell, DELL, one of many tech names that is weak alongside this market. I bring them up because they have their shareholder meeting today. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern annual meeting of shareholders. Qualcomm with their investor day yesterday, of course, had a move, so these shareholder meetings are worth noting. Other shareholder meetings today off the top of my head: Kroger, BlackBerry, which also had their earnings report, and Lululemon. Let's take a look as well here at WEN. When Moon, certainly not today. Wendy's to the downside as of right now. Unfortunately, this stock rallied pre-market, rallied a lot yesterday as well, announcing a CSO and CFO turnaround. But right now, the market turning this stock to the downside. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content as we send you back over to Neil.
Good stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Neil, tight stop, but then we hop right back in here just to get a nice little pop up. Let's see if we can get that dollar on this bad boy. I was just waiting, man. It's just like, all right, showed somewhat of a signal. You get out, let it sell off a little bit more, just absorb some more liquidity, and then we get that nice little bounce. Let's see if we can head up into 50s. 53 is where I'm going to post up, and I'm going to take the majority of this off here.
Just want to shout at everybody. We got a special offer, and I promise you, your broker's not really giving it to you. From June 8th through today, the 25th, Trade the Pool is giving first-time users an exclusive second chance opportunity. If this is your first time joining Trade the Pool and you don't pass their evaluation, Trade the Pool will give you another evaluation account completely free. A second chance to come back stronger and prove yourself. This is a one-time exclusive promotion available only during the Trading World Championship event. Once it is gone, it is gone. Scan the QR code on screen right now, join Trade the Pool today, and take advantage of this exclusive second chance offer before it disappears. Want to shout out to and thank Trade the Pool for sponsoring this portion of the show. And I also want to thank our viewers. Thank you for the super chat here, David. This is a great sentiment. Sometimes we don't know which meal caused the diarrhea. The scary thing is that there is no news coverage yet about the market dip that just happened. I like that phrase. You don't know which
meal caused
which
it.
meal
I think
caused
you have a good idea though sometimes. Like, I mean, if you go to Taco Bell and then you come home and just are blowing everything up, then
don't spoil the analogy.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, maybe I won't ruin it there.
It's a great
I won't ruin it. It's great.
That was a great one. I love that analogy. I'm gonna steal that.
You steal it? All
Take
right,
that.
man. We like
Take
that
that.
one. We like that.
Take that.
Too much dookie talk here, but what's working for us so far, Neil, we'll take it over to NVDA.
I'm sorry, you said
man.
dookie.
Hey, man.
What do you want me to say?
It is what it is. Yeah, let's rock and roll, man. We hit that target that we are looking for. We're going to take a little bit more off here. It was the Baconator, says Blicky. Someone said, hey, I'm having Wendy's for breakfast. I'm like, bro, it's 9:15 in the morning. What are we doing at Wendy's?
What's your point?
You get Wendy's breakfast?
I'm not judging anybody that does.
You're not judging. You're not. I am slight judgment here because we get the bacon, eggs, and stuff, and everything along those lines. We want to remain.
Do what you gotta do.
Do what you got to do.
Sometimes you're just hungry.
Sometimes, bro. What was the first thing I said this morning when I stepped into the office?
Don't sell off too much.
No, I said I was mad. I'm mad hungry.
You did say that.
I'm like, yo, I'm super hungry, man.
All right.
But there we go. We hit the level that we were looking for, Neil. We take 66% of our position off here, and now we're gonna wait for $85 to see. Yeah, sorry, guys, I won't judge. Yeah, I won't do it anymore. I apologize. Anyways, $85 is gonna be like for that next level. Jack in the Box. That's American. I don't think we have Jack in the Box here.
I don't know. I have no idea. What we do have is a market bounce. So if I'm sticking with the thesis that I had, one of the names that I wanted short was going to be silver. So it pulls into, it'll be VWAP, it'll be this, we'll call it the aftermarket or the afternoon high at about 52.25. So I want to be short to this with the market bouncing back here. It's still in a downward trend to proven otherwise. That said, like you are in a trend break, which makes me think of that volume weighted average price. But here comes all that DRAM. Oh, hit enter twice. There we go. It's a real. I won't bother drawing the trend line. Suffice to say, it's a steep one, but it is now holding an incredible bottoming tail candle. Where it bounced before and put in the topping tail, if it puts in another, there's still another jaunt into the volume weighted average price. So if Micron, which I have up, is going to be able to hold, then it's got to hold this 75 area that we didn't before. That's going to be the key. Because you're already starting to reject that same bounce level that we had earlier. And the market's right back to flat. That's the key. Like we've gone right back to an obvious psychological level, which is flat on the NASDAQ. If it punches through there, then we can get that V-shape into VWAP. Yuck, I just said V-shape into VWAP. Unintentional, that one.
Yeah, man. All right, big blunder. Yeah, man. Trust me, I appreciate that, guys, man. Just you already know how it is around here, guys. I just wish, obviously, you know what they say, man. I think one of the more popular sayings in the world is health is wealth, and I think that's the most important.
I like that.
And we were talking about it this morning. It's like when we were regards to Roberto Neymar saying he's just unfortunately been healthy, but he'd probably give up a bit of his change to have less injuries throughout his career. And I said, well, you should ask Steve Jobs the exact same thing. All that money probably meant nothing at the end of the day when you can't enjoy it, right? So just everyone keep rocking and rolling. Mental health as well too, because Jesse, you and I, you know where we be standing at on that one, guys. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic session. I understand that the selling here wasn't too pretty bright and early, but hey, look, the SPY's back above the volume weighted average price at this
Kind of an
point,
understatement.
What's that?
The selling wasn't too pretty.
Oh, it was ugly, man. I mean, unless you're a bear, then it was hella pretty. But you had to be patient and wait for some levels to come into play. Look at the volume really step in on the uptick here. So yeah, not too bad of a look there, guys. Just had to wait. We took a couple of opportunities on it. It took 2 tries for us to get the ball rolling. I did add an additional 50% on this position off of the lows. So a nice little move. Stopped out on that one. Take a little bit of a winner. Nothing to write home about, and we get stopped out on DRAM. But think about it. Where did we open up? 9:30 here, guys. Right when we start this selling, you wait until approximately 10 a.m. So a half an hour, and then now we have the ability to sit in this position for a little bit longer. So just thankful for that. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we're getting this bounce back, we got some confirmation here. Obviously, Micron's making a bounce as well, but DRAM looking a little bit better than Micron, which is good, at least for now. Like this has a chance to get to VWAP before Micron does.
Yeah.
That would be a good sign. But I'm going to respect, I said I'd respect 75 to 76, so scalp into there, and the next move will be into that 77 level. So So far, so good. But I am looking for VWAP into 77. You are getting, as I said, you're getting a better move over in DRAM than you are specifically in Micron. It's still a good move, but just a little bit better there. SNDK, of course, going to be another big name. The sell-off's nasty, whatever, but this is really charging back into the volume-weighted average price. Still 14% up, but that was nasty selling, and we're starting to get the buyers come back into the market. Now, I was about to make that point. Brian Hart, you literally read my mind, and Brian was saying like NVIDIA was the one that's not moving. It's moving off the lows. It's just that it was so much worse, right? Like, it's just so much worse. It's like it didn't really go that far. This is where I would stay a little bit cautious, because this could pull back into like 196.5, be underneath yesterday's lows, and be primed to just fall down underneath VWAP. So it's the Mag 7 that everyone rotated out of. Remember, we got led here by memory, and the Mags aren't doing jack. Like, NVIDIA is bouncing. Like, Apple ain't bouncing. You want to talk to me about who's not bouncing? Apple doing absolutely nothing off the lows, 4.5% down. And as the market just bounced 300 points in the NASDAQ, Apple went up $1.50 to $2, depending on where you're able to get it. So you see where the relief rally is coming in. SanDisk was more. DRAM, the chip names did go. Like I just showed you the difference between NVIDIA versus Apple. So you can't really say that the chips aren't going here. It's the Mag 7, Sans NVIDIA that aren't doing anything. Actually, I didn't look at Tesla, so I can't really say. I don't know what Tesla's doing.
Sans gluten. All right.
Huh? What's wrong with... Why do you say sans gluten?
Well, you said sans, so I'm like sans gluten.
No, you don't like gluten?
No, it's just that, that's what we call one of my buddies, because he's gluten intolerant. So
oh, yeah, celiac?
yeah, so we call him.
I don't laugh about that,
No,
man.
it's not funny.
My ex had celiac.
Yeah,
that
bro,
ain't fun. That ain't fun,
fun,
man. That's tough.
It's
That's
not
tough.
funny, man. What's up, Adair?
I was going to say, legit, half my family is celiac. So my mom and sister, celiac. My dad and I will have like secret gluten meetings when I'm in town because it's like,
that's cruel.
Yeah,
man.
it's rough, but yeah, no, it's a real thing.
It is.
I've legit sympathy for that.
My bro
you can't
has
drink
that.
beer, can't eat pizza. Like,
Well, you get, dude. Oh, see, that's the thing.
Not
That's
the
when we
same.
started calling him sans gluten, because
Not the same.
there's this gluten-free beer called
the same.
Boxer,
Not the
and
same.
it just smells so bad, dude. It's like, oh man. Yeah, all right. Let's see if we can get this move back into the boards. The volume-weighted average price, 86.34 is going to be our next target on that one. So let's see what we can get here.
See what we can get and not be upset. So we're in one long, which is almost at VWAP. Our short under VWAP is still maintaining. As the market's really bouncing, that's the key. Like silver needs to really hold the line here for that rollover. Really starting to think, have we gone far enough in this bounce? Is it going to be an all the way kind of thing? And we got the 50 cents. We got the buck. We got the $1.50. It's a coincidence that it happens to be exactly $2 into VWAP here. And each time we're entering, we're risking about 50 pennies. So it's working out. But that last push to get us back into VWAP, that's going to be the key. Can Micron continue this rally, get all the way back to 1,200? You're already starting to slow down. Can SanDisk continue it? That's going to be the question you got to ask yourself. Because profit taking isn't about like the first 25 minutes or 30 minutes of the session or whatever it might be. You need to sustain. Like we are underneath aftermarket lows. We're way underneath the pre-market bottoms. Like we, technically speaking, have an all-time high fail break on Micron developing.
Yeah.
Like that's still part of the case, right? Like it made an all-time high and pulled back. We saw what happened last earnings. What it did on the first day paled in comparison to what it did in the following weeks. The sell-off reached that, the vaunted 20%, and that wasn't on day one. It was actually after, like well after. And here we already come back in.
Yeah, I mean, here we go on a rejection of the volume-weighted average price there. Excuse me.
Yep.
And then here it is, right? Like we were talking about, where's the real strength starting to come back in? So the pullback getting a little aggressive here. This might be a breath, and you never know. You might make an additional leg lower. Neil, I think SpaceX looks like it wants to head towards the low of the day at this pace as well. So, I mean, hey, take it for what it is. A nice little retracement play back to VWAP, and then that might be it. I have nothing left from a share standpoint. This might be my offload. So I think that's a good style play. I'm fortunate enough to catch the bottom. You get back into VWAP, and if it doesn't breach, then, hey, the next objective might be heading back towards the low of the day in a retest. could be a recovery rally, right? So, or sorry, a cover rally, and then now you're just heading lower. So, I mean, we almost got that fill. We were posted up at 30s. It prints 86.29, and then now it's $1 from that point. So we'll keep an eye out on what we have there. The small cap names, there's ILLR. Is that continuing to move? No, it halted up, Neil, and then.
Hold on, you can pull that up.
No, on something else here.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Prediction markets they want me to pull. Let's actually do this here right now. Let's see. We'll head over to the prediction markets. Have you played any of these prediction contracts here, Neil?
Not really. I like to.
They're giving me free money. All right, man.
What's giving you
right.
free
we'll
money?
take that.
If you sign up.
Yeah.
Well, of course
yeah,
they're
20,
giving you. Joe,
$20, my
about
bad.
that free money that they give you to sign up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this.
It's not that.
But anywhere where there's gambling involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna give you free money. They're gonna give you free things to sign up because once
Yeah.
they have you, they have you. I'm just throwing that out there in case you weren't aware of that. Very quickly, I threw the stop to break even. No longer. Look, I'm just not trying to lose money on the last portion for the volume weighted average price. You got to be able to ring the register and take the profit where you can. Like 3 bounces, you only need 1 to work, but only 1 did work so far on DRAM. And SpaceX 150. Okay, so before we forget some things, SpaceX, it's not the IPO issue price. That's $135. However, 150 is where SpaceX opened up on IPO day. It's held that pretty much every day. There was a little bit of a flush through it a couple sessions ago. It did a nice little rebound. Yesterday, it held a higher low, but I think we get a bounce here off the 150. I don't mind being the other direction, but I'm going to look for a little bit of a bounce on SpaceX. Could just be a trend break. Could be a false break of the 150 level as well. But either way, plan on playing this level. I'll let you guys know if there's like massive size down there or anything on the bid on SpaceX. But DRAM for now, I'll revisit it if we can get through VWAP or maybe double bottom that sucker.
Yeah, Adam, man, why didn't you? You did not. This guy's like, bro, I've been tagging you all morning about this. I don't see one tag from you. Now that dollar break here on NEXR up to $1.05, brother. Man, yeah, exactly. Why didn't you let me know a little bit earlier? Because now that dollar break is exactly what I'd be looking for. A high of the day break on this bad boy. So nice call out there, brother. You're up 84% here at this point. So this is a small cap name, Neil, that's broken through the high of the day on multiple occasions. Now I can chase it all the way up here. I have to wait for a pullback, but I wouldn't mind getting involved in this bad boy just in case we get another couple of those runners. This is what I'm talking about. Right into the volume weighted average price and then right back down here, Neil. So a little bit of trouble. I'll send it off to you. Did you want a cup of coffee or anything along those lines?
No, I'm actually quite good. And you know what?
Content?
Everybody can be not just good, but even better. Because a quick reminder, Trader TV Live members get Sharif's daily morning research note every single trading day. You can see all of the big stories that are moving the markets, technical levels, trade plans, the catalysts that are there for. It's $4.99 a month. We're talking about less than a cup of coffee a day. Well, it's a quarter a day. I got a quarter around here somewhere, and you can just do that for every single trading day. I want to shout out to Sharif for doing that. You get custom emojis as well. You get loyalty badges. So you hit the join, become a member, and get this bad boy for about a quarter a month. I don't know why I have a quarter on the desk. Probably of some kind of a joke for a bet with Sean the other day. But here's an idea of what you get. I'm just going to quickly show you guys the real Micron earnings, technical levels, trade plan, Qualcomm, anything, everything. It's pages long. 14 pages today. It's always double digits. Want to shout out to Sharif for that. So thank you for everyone that's become members. And big shout out to David, who literally was gifting memberships this morning. Shout out to you, David. I know we have others. Casey's done it before. Lots of viewers that are fantastic in gifting those memberships. Shout out to all of you. All right, here comes SpaceX right into that 150. No trend break yet. Could still happen. But we are getting right into that IPO opening. So it's not the issue, it's the IPO opening price at 150. I have not seen size on the bid just yet. So I haven't had a peek at the level to see how big or maybe not big it is. And the market's still in the midst of its bounce, so that still looks good. What I wouldn't want to happen here is we get another press down into the lows, and that's when it's looking like the long. I might just take the break short because I can always reverse it if I like it. I've got to think about that as well. Like even taking the break short is going to make some sense. Just one note here is I don't want to stare that down forever. DRAM came right back to the entry point and is trying to hold the bid. It's trying, but we're still looking like downward trend. So looking a little bit cautious over there in DRAM. I also have my eyes, I'm not going to get away from this, on SMCI, missed it at the volume weighted average price, but at that moment we're focused on DRAM. So for me, it's going to be SpaceX next. We're still same place in SLV, so that's not really actually moving that much off of VWAP just yet. But SpaceX is getting very close to that 150 bid. And remember, not everybody's underwater if it breaks 150. Just anybody that bought it after it opened up. If you bought the issue price, you're still good. It's like it fell on the ground, but it's still good. It's still good. Let's see if this one can end up holding on to the 150. I want to have a stop pre-prepared just in case. So if I see it flash underneath and come back around, what I want to have is a stop so that if I punch long, I'm already covered. But SpaceX heading back into the lows. Market still looking like it wants to bleed a little bit here. It's been a nice bounce, but try to remember that the NASDAQ might be flat. I'm going to stay on the SpaceX chart because that's what I'm watching. The NASDAQ might be slightly upside, but we were over 2% up. Right? Like it was a big morning that we reverted. So I'd love to see this continue. It'd be great, and then it would make it easier for this punch long. But for now, it's a nice bounce. It's not gigantic yet. Let's go to Adair with 10:20 already. Time for the small cap recap. I wonder if Wendy's is done. Oh, you could.
Another very catalyst-heavy small cap recap section for you guys today. We have catalysts on all of these names. Day one catalyst at that. Let's get into it. NEXR, NEXR. This one's still trading near highs. There are 4 technology business entering into a non-binding letter of intent, or LOI, for a proposed strategic investment and collaboration with Logia USA. NEXR with a nearly $6 million market cap, 5.7 mil. And here, a float of 6 million shares, 14% short float. Then you've got ILLR Triller Group here. This one already discussed. Their subsidiary is acquiring just under 4 million SpaceX shares through SAC1 for a cumulative cost here of $411.304 million. Looks like for ILLR. It's interesting look, though. SpaceX red right now. Maybe not great for that investment. Last but not least, Atozi Internet Technology, float of about 4.5 million shares. They have signed a $5.25 million securities purchase agreement. Atozi, AZI, a name that's certainly rallied in the past, also on watch. Back to you.
No, I can't pull it up here either.
You can't pull it up there? Let me see.
Oh, no, here. Is it this?
I want to add.
No, I can't pull it up on TradingView either.
I want to actually add here.
Yeah, whatever. It's that Triller stock, TLLR. Like I can't see it. I would love to be able to watch it for you guys. ILLR. Okay, there we go. Well, I still can't pull it up on our symbol. Anyways, I'm trying to get DRAM anyways. It doesn't really make a difference in here. Gonna slap the fail on SLV. I'm not back in on DRAM just yet, but you sneak over VWAP, and that's enough for me. You know, as I said, I'm gonna keep stops relatively tight. Don't mind risking 20, 25 cents when the objective is to make 75, $1, that kind of a thing, but I don't want to hold it past VWAP. I want to leave myself an opportunity to get back in. It was much better late in the day than it was early, but for now, SpaceX, by the way, didn't even false break. It just bounced. This time it bounced clean off 150. The other day when we got this long, it broke 150 and then reclaimed 150 to the upside, and that's how we got in. This time it's a little bit different on SpaceX, just behaving differently. Maybe a little bit stronger, I suppose, that it didn't break the 150 this time. Might just have to take it long in front instead.
Oh, JPM here. What a rotation, Neil. What a rotation we got going on. 2.5%. People ask me, Jesse, and...
Oh, you know why, though? So the bank stress tests were at 4 o'clock. I know everyone was paying attention to Micron.
Yeah.
At 4 o'clock, all the banks had their stress tests.
Wow.
And you know what happens when they pass with flying colors?
Bang.
They get to bump the divvy, so the dividends go higher on the bank. Those are rules. Like, well, you can only do buybacks.
Your
if
CDR,
you have so much strength.
Your CDR in JPM too, right?
I'm Morgan Stanley.
Oh, CDR Morgan Stanley.
Well, no, actually, both.
Both.
Because I've been buying Morgan Stanley way before they had the CDR. I've been doing both. But Morgan Stanley's, that's the horse I've been backing for a long time.
Okay. I see.
Whatever, man. You buy a good U.S. bank.
All-time highs, JPM.
They're all good. I don't want to try to.
I don't know why you guys are asking me to take a look at Visa like there's something wrong with it. What else more could you ask for at this point? Like, look at this thing go. People say it's taking you off, man. It's up. It's up 2.25 here. This is big time, man. I mean, we're not anywhere close to the all-time highs on Visa, but I'd take that, especially if you're long. Jesse, if you've been buying puts, what is it, 376? You're 9% off of the all-time highs. So it's looking pretty good in the positive here in the banks. We got all-time high, I'm pretty sure. Oh, not quite on Morgan Stanley, but we got that on JPM. Let's go. We like seeing that. Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is its new name, not looking too bad. And then XLF. Randy, you like XLF? Oh, he's tapped in right now. $54. Yeah, he's tapped in. He's
I don't know what he's locked into.
Yeah,
he's locked into something.
This ain't looking too good here on NVDA for that reload. I want to get a little bit lower, but let's see what happens. Breaks this support level. We turn things back around here to Greensville, USA. But now if we crack through this, then we're going to head right back into Redsville, which isn't too good. But hey, small potatoes, small potatoes. Joe, and I'm too loud? Is it loud now? All right, well, anyways.
Oh, your mic?
Yeah, apparently. But anyways, aside from that, $84.20. Let's see if we can hold up on this level. Yeah. I'm truly not even talking loud either. So
no, it's sorry if there's mic issues. It is what it is. We're holding the line for now on the reload on DRM. I'm basically just buying the same level kind of over and over again. It's this like 75 area. Every time it bounces and holds the 74.5, I'm trying to grab the 75 long, and then one of these. Look, we got almost a VWAP last time. It's just one of these I would like to get to the volume weighted average price. And
volume good? All right.
Yeah, they just like completely continue the move is what I'm looking for. So I'll scalp every 50 pennies just like we were doing before if we're able to and work the range. SLV, one of the reasons to keep a tight stop is if it wicks out and gives me underneath VWAP, I can just re-enter the trade. Still like that short till the LOD. And while we're looking at it, I just saw a name in the chat that I have not heard in a long time.
Ooh.
You know what's really cool about our community is sometimes you forget about something and it's worth having a second look. Figma, and thank you for bringing this one up in the chat. Who brought this one up?
Who brought it up?
Who was it? I had to scroll up to be able to see. I just saw Fig and I'm like, yeah. All-time, look, it's a recent IPO, so all-time lows are right here. But that tagged the potential all-time low bounce on Figma. Now, I don't know where the bottom is going to be on this dumpster fire, but you could do worse than the all-time low. So sometimes you just got to sometimes it's just about finding a key level somewhere. Because when the market was dripping like this and you're looking for bounce, a couple of things start to go and the stock that you're watching hits like an all-time low or a key support level. Sometimes that's all you need. So congratulations if you found that one on the bottom. Just try to remember the chart looks like that. No one ever went broke taking profit, and we have to go to Adara when we're asked to because she's got all the knowledge.
I have an interesting story here. Nothing market moving as of right now, but next week we could be getting a decision on the Fed's Cook matter. Now, of course, Fed's Lisa Cook, governor, you can see her right here in the corner of this infographic. She was fired by U.S. President Donald Trump, I believe, on August 20th, 2025, in a Truth Social post. This firing was contested. Anyways, long story short, we could be getting a decision potentially next week. Monday will be the Supreme Court's next opinion day. These opinions usually come out at 10 a.m. So just be aware, we could get some updates in the world of the U.S. Federal Reserve. Back to you.
See, all that talk about Wendy's is like,
yeah,
it ends up distracting from BlackBerry today.
From your guy.
Because if we're being real, if I'm being honest with myself, it's like BlackBerry on earnings with that look for a breakout continuation, or Wendy's, by the time it got to the open, like, why was I looking at this? I don't know. Because it was halfway decent yesterday? That's a fail.
Yeah. That's all right, man. I'm going
to slap the fail on that because BlackBerry had the catalyst. But BlackBerry did not dip the same way that everything else did at the open. That's all you're looking for, man. You want relative strength. You want a catalyst. Sometimes when you're looking right, it's going to be left. I'm going to keep taking my pot shots every time silver gets under VWAP, but I'm never going to let it get past the top wick, right? Like I'll shoot it under VWAP, looking for the low, but I'm not going to try to let this one get too far to control. DRAM, we're still going to be in. same entry as before off that 74.5, but you're not getting the same bounce you were before. And the reason for that, for anyone that doesn't know, I mean, obviously not the largest thing in DRAM, but the one that's probably going to wag the tail today is going to be Micron. And the bounce that we got, all that consolidation off 1140, is not really doing much yet with the trend. Right? So it's holding a higher low, but it's not doing more than that. And you need to see it do more than just hold a higher low. Support is one thing. Actually engaging in a bounce another. There's a lot of profit taking happening right now. Despite how great the numbers were, there's just a lot of profit taking.
Exactly.
You're churning through obviously significant RVOL here. So it's good that there at least is some semblance of a bid, but it's not really doing enough with it, in my opinion. I think it's still looking relatively weak.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little bit of a hunch that was
Say that I
gonna
keep
happen.
trying the longs, but it's like, it's still
on some of them. Yeah, man, positioning, and that's what I was just about to actually get into here. Excuse me, it's just the fact, detail is good, but my ad is really bad because think about where I'm in at 32s. I could have easily got at the lower end of the range, and that's like 50 cents from where I am. So that just drastically changes your risk to reward. And now we're establishing these lower highs right there. So I got to post up if I'm going to be looking to add and not chase things and just get the levels that we're supposed to, because this is a game of sense, right? Like if I'm all the way up here at 40s, I could get 60 cents better on my ad. That's big time, right? I know I'm looking for the volume weighted average price and a little bit of a rebound, but the NASDAQ is pretty weak here, guys. SPY is significantly stronger, and that's just due to the fact that the banks are just going absolutely ham right now. And I like seeing this rotation. I don't know how you feel, but I like when the banks go on a nice little run. U.S. banks is just, again, I think if you ask me, aside from the financial crisis, which I was not trading or participating in, I was still pretty young at the time. For me, what I've learned over my years is that if I'm going to hide somewhere, it's staples and potentially some of the banks. Send it over.
I think that's 100% right. And they tend, in the long run, they tend to win.
Yeah.
We all win when we talk to Adair.
That's very nice of you, Neil. Let's take a look at USO, which is certainly a win if you were long this off the open. It's continued to push to the upside as the market has dropped. We're seeing reports here from Al Hadath, so Middle Eastern sources, suggesting that the final meeting between Lebanon and Israel in Washington, I believe this was their 5th such meeting, has, quote, reached a dead end. So it looks like no negotiations have gone well in the 5th round of talks here between Israel and Lebanon in Washington, quote unquote, dead end, as USO not only tries to take out intraday highs, looks like we're trying to take out highs from yesterday as well. Back to you.
There it is. Well, it can take out highs, but the market's still bouncing anyways, because that's what you like to see. You like to see us be able to go up even if oil's going up. On the rail, thoughts on the Hertz crash for a swing trade. I remember trading them around 5 years ago with bankruptcy and delistment, maybe a repeat coming. So they did an offering yesterday. Looks at chart. Chart confirms that it had to have been yesterday. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that, my memory might be okay, but the chart don't lie. So yeah, absolute dumpsville. Obviously dilution not going to be good at this point. It can be, I get it, sometimes when you have bad things and bankruptcy and blah, 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 you'll get these dead cat bounces. Usually you want to give it some time, especially after an offering where you haven't found a bid yet. It's yet to make any kind of a bottom that makes any sense here. So I don't know what direction you were thinking swing. I have a rule when we're talking to the viewers and the chat and all that kind of good stuff. If you don't say direction, I just assume you mean long, right? Like if you're shorting something, you say short.
Yeah.
But if you just say swing, I'm going to assume you want to go long and Hertz somewhere. And for me, that ain't my cup of tea. Show me where it makes a double bottom and holds a bid. That's much more important. If you meant swing short, then the trend is your friend.
Yeah.
Hal, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you guys for all the hard work. We appreciate you guys for making that hard work a lot easier to do because we have viewers that are both fun. You got some jokes. I've seen some pretty good jokes in there today, of course. And trading is a pretty lonely business. If you're for retail, you're sitting at home by yourself.
Yeah, man.
We've only ever existed on a trading floor on the show, so never really had that.
I had that time at home. 2 years. My first 2 years.
You can speak to it.
Yeah, my first 2 years, man. Yeah, it's definitely, it's just you and my boy, what my boy Jesse would say, the charts. It's just you and the charts. The thing is, though, like, you do join communities just like this one here, Neil. You meet with some individuals. You guys can form your own trading pods and everything along those lines. So there is ways, but at the end of the day, it's just you and your computer and your station. And if you want to be here for the long run, you better get prepared for some ups and downs and the turbulence of what comes with trading, right? Not every day it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows. You have a little doom and gloom in there as well. So you got to learn how to combat in that and fight against some of those downsides. Because, hey, listen, this is one of the only professions where you can wake up and head over to work, and then there is a probability, there's a chance, there's always a chance with some things that you're going to lose money.
Yeah. Well, I look at it, I kind of look at it more like the poker analogy.
Yeah.
Like when you sit down at a poker table, like you take cash with you, or maybe you're in a tournament, you get a certain number of chips. Like I like to think of that as like, that's what I'm paying to be here. And if you end up making money, great. Like when you put on a trade, like the example I'll use is like DRAM. Like if I put on a trade and I'm long effectively like 75 to 74.5, it's like if my risk is 50 cents, that times the amount of shares, I've just spent that money. The trade hasn't happened yet. Like I haven't got in, I haven't gotten out, or maybe I've gotten in and I haven't got, but I've already spent that money. And it's a matter of whether you get that back by making more. And I think a lot of times, it makes it easier if you think about it that way, but you know, that realization that you are going to lose can be a difficult one for some.
How do you feel about this? Because we were having some conversations way back in the day, in the earlier stages.
To break you up, by the way.
Qs? Yeah, Qs are, they're headed there, Neil. Yeah, absolutely. We're still sitting in this this position here. So what I was saying is, like, think about our educational system, right? You have to hit a certain percentage mark to pass. So it's not always the best to be wrong. But this is a complete different game where you have to accept being wrong and you have to rewire your brain, which takes a certain amount of time. And for some, it takes a little bit longer than others. So I think that was the biggest change for me growing up, where being right was probably one of the most important things. And then now you have to come here and accept the fact that, hey, you may be wrong 70% of the time.
Being right or trading is not about being right or wrong. Any trader that tells you it's about making a call or being right or wrong
is
a trader that doesn't make money. Trading is about one thing, making money. And we are about to go to Adara.
Hi, guys. Let's talk about MSTR. MicroStrategies, you guys can see here, did just get a little bit of a wick to the upside. Could have had to do with this comment from CryptoQuant. So I looked up CryptoQuant. It is basically a provider of on-chain and market data analytics for crypto. So analytics and data provider. I guess CryptoQuant saying that strategies should be holding their Bitcoin buys and bolstering their cash reserves. A little bit of a move here on MSTR as we get these comments from CryptoQuant on Michael Saylor's strategy. Back to you.
Up to, he's back in the chat.
I know, I see people referencing Is Noodles, and they were popular in the chat yesterday.
Yeah, Is Noodles is one of the more popular viewers for sure.
Okay, well, what's the story? Because I just saw, and first of all, you don't need a reason, because someone in the chat just goes, can we all just hope for Is Noodles to have a massive Green Day?
Yeah, he was
yes, well,
he was going through it, man.
We want a massive Green Day for everybody. Why specifically Is Noodles? That's a really cool name in the chat.
Because Is Noodles he was going through it. He was going through a little bit of a tough time. Yeah. So
get it, Is
everybody in the chat. Yeah. So we told him to take a break for a little bit because because he was kind of at that stage here where he needed to maybe just step aside for a little bit. But I mean, he took a 16-hour break and he was right back at things. But sometimes you need a little bit longer than that. So we can't get this going. I should have took off at 86, man. It is what it is on this bad boy. Really messed up my risk to reward. Sorry, listen, guys, turn the volume down if my mic is too loud. I don't know. I don't really know what to tell you at that point. So levels are good. So yeah, let's see if we can get a nice little move up here to $86.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer or anything here, but I'm kind of looking over DRAM, which I'm in, and Micron, and we're starting to form, forget about that dark pool, like a wedge from the bottom, which, I mean, Micron's got those wicks. It's a little bit easier to see when I just look at DRAM. So like the first bounce, 1180 ended up being the first bounce, but I haven't noticed. Like we tight stop there, we get back in. It's a bit of a chase, but again, tight stop, but that's the low. There's the higher low support at the 74.5. Here's the wedge. Notice how we're creeping into the wedge and finding resistance. I'm that guy. I got to be out if we break the bottom of this wedge, because break here means hold to the volume weighted average price, or maybe even add. Like maybe even add on a break of this wedge, hold the initial to the volume weighted average price, and then play the rest for a run at the highs. But if we're going to break down, you just have to keep in mind the other side of all of this. The other side of all of this is a complete flush out, market under VWAP. You know, we've already shown you Micron enough. I go to the 15-minute chart. Like, even if we were to continue this bounce, like we're still underneath resistance from yesterday. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic. It's just thinking about the other side of the trade. That's a big if DRAM doesn't hold the wedge. For now it is. I think it's all systems go to get us into the volume weighted average price, but you just want to be prepared for what is next. And that did mean moving up my stop. Now, my stop's going to be effectively break even on this trade because of this pattern. Like, I don't want, like, why would I let it get underneath here if I have it breaking trend and can save myself 40, 50 pennies? So I'm going to go ahead and do that and work on to the next. Really, we have a poll about this. How are the mic levels? Okay, I don't listen to, I'm going to put on the show before I even.
We didn't do a poll yet.
Oh, you sound fine.
Oh, yeah, everybody's saying that. It's just a couple of people.
Okay, whoa, hold on a second.
Says I'm louder than you.
That doesn't even make any sense. Let me just open this poll. How are the mic levels, yes or no?
I put yes. Yes, good, no, bad.
Why are you assuming yes? This is not a yes or no question. Who made this poll? I'm just saying. Okay, so yes is good. They sounded just fine to me. Wow. I just put it on in my ear, and it sounded perfectly fine. So I don't know what to tell you, but I'm also only listening to it in one ear. But that's not a yes or no question. Okay, just throwing that out there. What we should do is a poll about the Micron close. I just can't figure out what number to put in when we do said poll, because that's one thing we like to do. Like yesterday, it was a dead 50-50 split amongst our viewers, up or down on Micron.
Over, under 1,200.
Okay. Adara says over, that's enough for me. Micron, I'm just going to go MU, over, under 1,200. And see how I worded it, over or under? That way the two answers are over and under and not completely ambiguous. So everybody start your voting. If you think Micron closes over 1,200, you type 1. If you think Micron closes under 1,200, you type 2. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, then get in the chat, please. Hit the subscribe button, jump into the chat, ask some questions, chat a bit about, I don't know, your favorite stock, whether you're going to eat a Wendy's Baconator. That appears to be a bit of a thing. And then type 1 or 2 in the chat. You can do it as long as I keep that one up. So it would kind of be silly to vote anything but over, because we're long DRAM and you're long NVIDIA. So you know we want this one to get to the upside. Yeah. And look at that. Just like the poll last night. 50-50.
Damn.
50-50. So clearly we have some serious conviction here about where we are headed next. Makes sense. Look at the pattern. It's a complete wedge pattern, which is giving it, I'm on DRAM. I should actually put up Micron. So leave that up. Keep the votes coming in there. Seems like there's a lot of indecision. This is Micron. 1,200's all the way up here. I guess that's awfully bullish. But heck, I mean, Micron was 1,250 at the open. So it's really not that. Like $30 on Micron, it's 1.5%.
There was actually a bunch of open interest at that $1,200 marker. NVDA really just not doing anything, man. There's some big seller out at 195. We were talking about that 1 second here, Assassino. We were talking about that $1,200 level, and then you're starting to see some downward pressure from that marker. So we haven't had the ability to hold that. Look, we're looking at these contracts at $12. Before we go over, I'm going to pull up this here. I want to see what kind of appreciation we had after the open on these specific contracts here, guys. So $12 at the close yesterday. Wow. That's crazy. Like $371 all the way up here on Thursday. That's insane. And then eventually just boom. Tank City losing like 66% of its value just like that, 72%. Man, oh man, some big time contract appreciation right there, ladies and gentlemen. Adara.
Damn.
The markets today are a tale of two cities, weak tech and relatively strong almost everything else. Let's start with tech services, the most obviously weak sector, I think, here with SaaS getting hit once again. Palantir down 5%, Apple down 5%, Oracle down 3%, Meta, Google, Microsoft, all red, with MSMT getting hit the hardest of these three. Retail trade, interestingly enough, you have some tech plays in here, of course, Amazon down, but Walmart, Costco, TJX also getting slapped to the downside. Electronic tech is fascinating because you've got strength here in these plays in the memory space, though a lot of them dropping significantly from their highs, including Micron. But Apple, NVIDIA, Dell, Intel all week. I must remind you guys, Dell's down 7.5%, and they have their annual shareholder meeting today. So be aware, in terms of strength, finance really strong here. Of course, these banks passing the stress test, and as a result, being allowed to raise their dividends. Producer manufacturing strong, health tech incredibly strong here. J&J up 2.5%. Health services, non-energy minerals, transportation with the exception of Uber. Basically, if you're not a big tech play, you'll probably have a decent session. Back to you.
Thank you, Dara. You know what really stands out about that sector board is look at the concentration of where the red is. It is Mag 7 and a few software names, man. That is par for the course. There's other things that are relatively weak. Obviously, that's just going to be the S&P 500, but man, is it absolutely nasty. Why am I still not short? First of all, I have to ask myself why I'm still not short SMCI. Sometimes you like to bottom pick things, and fine, it can work out, but sometimes the short is even better. Like, look at Apple just holding these lows. See that, I mean, bear flag, I guess is what you call that. If we resolve this breaking out upside, I think, it's kind of obvious to say, but I think that's what can take us higher. Like Microsoft, you got a double bottom in here. Alphabet was already bleeding because they had bad news. Alphabet's done its job. Alphabet's closed the gap, has almost gone green. It's like Apple and Softy, which are languishing a little bit here and still making us roll over. You got Amazon, which is not really participating, which you'd like to be able to do. You're going to need some participation. I know obviously part of this is going to be Micron breaking out of the wedge to the upside as well, but there's a few other things to keep an eye on. My focus rightfully so will be a bit on more Micron and just the chart pattern that I'm working off of. But even as we speak, I could end up slipping out of this. I said if we break this little bit of an uptrend, I have to respect. And the good thing about the wedge is I can get out. So it's higher lows, it's lower highs. Even if I trickle out here, I can re-enter on a breakout. I could re-enter on a double bottom. We just got to be able to take the profit. Because if I'm being honest, yeah, sure, we've caught some decent longs here. None have gotten all the way to VWAP, but you get a buck and a half, you get a buck, like that kind of thing. It's pretty good as long as your risk to reward is fine. But there hasn't been that explosive, real trend break yet on Micron, on DRAM, on SNDK, if you happen to be watching them.
Do you think the NASDAQ, I think we should put the poll up, do we think the NASDAQ is going to break the volume weighted average price here today? Wright confirms that the release of 172 million bears from reserve is still on track. All right, there we go. What is USO doing at this point?
Still at the highs.
Is it still at the highs?
Yeah.
Oh, USO up a percentage point. Yeah, I don't like USO, man. Don't like it. You know why, Neil? Because when USO is up, that means that there's probably more money coming out of my pocket. So.
Well, yeah. There's not much you can do about that.
Not much, man.
Only so much you can do about it.
Yeah, just pay the price.
Get it, Meta.
Right,
Get it,
confirms
Meta.
that the race.
I like
What
this
is Meta
comment.
doing?
Here's the thing. It's
Disasters.
NIMXs, one. If people think MU isn't going to go parabolic, they're crazy.
Ooh.
So one of the things we were talking about this morning with regard to Micron, look, I'm still looking for this bounce today, but what it does on day one after earnings is not indicative of what the overall move is going to be. It's had muted moves on earnings before and then ended up pulling back heavy. Pull back 15, 20%, and then going into the highs. Why is that so impossible for it to happen? I get it. You do that direct comparison, I mean, how much money they just made, their net income levels are basically where more than what NVIDIA made last time this year. Last time this year, NVIDIA's a $4 trillion company. Micron's 1, or just over 1. So when you do that kind of comparison, something does have to give. But I would I would venture to say this is it's not ideally as good as you would like to see on the first day, but it's still holding up. Like the first dip on earnings has held at 1120 level. Didn't really do much with 1180 like I was hoping, but it's holding out that 1120. It's a tremendous amount of volume it has to churn through. Profit taking is normal. It happens. You give it that 2-3 day rule to see what it does. It fell for a week and a half to 2 weeks last time, and then it caught a bit of a bid. So the pattern has been hold the trend line, and it's been doing that. So I don't think there's anything. We see these big drops at the open, and everyone freaks out because of 30 minutes of selling in an uptrend, which went parabolic in like late April.
Yeah, man.
You know, this went parabolic, and it was already going parabolic, but it took another step 2 months ago. So we shouldn't freak out over 30 minutes. We can freak out if all of a sudden we lose this trend a week from now. Then show me some concern. So yeah, could it still go parabolic? It's been going parabolic on this trend, which does require it to dip from time to time, 10 to 15%, sometimes even 20.
Yeah, I agree with you, Neil. And even if it does break trend, you know, I'm just in the bushes there, lurking, looking to get some in. You know what I mean? We're dipping it.
Gotta stay in the bushes.
Yeah, exactly. And then as soon as it falls right onto our lap, man, we're ready to pounce. That's for sure on this bad boy. So let's see if we can get that pullback that we're looking for in Micron. AMD too, man. There's a couple of names that I want to get involved with. I was thinking about buying some gold, to be honest with you, down here. Neil, I don't know how you feel about gold, but we're right back in October of 25 levels. If you want to get, like early October of 25. So I think there's a good opportunity for me to start dabbling in a little bit of gold. So, all right, let's go, man. We still have this order above the volume weighted average price. I asked everyone here in the chat if we're going to have the ability to break through the volume to VWAP here on the NASDAQ. We're punching through. The thing that is slightly frustrating because so what happens is the data here starts tracking at 6 a.m. opposed to when the market opens up at 4 a.m. So there's like a couple million shares at times missing of data. And if you're using the volume weighted average price, that's going to play a factor into where it's displayed. Even though we're rejecting here right now, I want to see if we can get an uptick into 86 bucks. We keep rejecting this. There's a I don't know what it is. There's a brick wall here on the actual underlying, Neil. Someone keeps stepping in at 195. I don't know if you see them, but they just keep, brick. House, but someone keeps stepping in at 195 here on NVDA. We can't breach that level, but let's send things off to Adara, guys.
The longer the consolidation, the better the break.
It's time to talk about money. Before we talk about money, I do have to talk about Iran and oil. Just seeing reports here. It looks like the Wall Street Journal is saying that Iran is proposing service fees for ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz that would be shared with the Gulf neighbors. Now, we know that the U.S. does not want these fees, so very likely to be more pushback, more comments. But either way here, all I have right now is this report that Iran is proposing said service fees. Here's a look at the U.S. dollar. It looks like we're actually getting back all of yesterday's move. Yesterday, we had that high here of 101.8. Low of 101.35. Today, our low is around that 101.32 area, currently trading right at yesterday's low, though. So all of that strength from yesterday being given up so far in today's session. And we have to talk about the economic data because that was the big driver for this move up we had in the market, pre-market, and then also some of these moves in the dollar. Let's talk here about these prints here. PCE month over month, a little bit cooler than expected, but in line with the prior month print. So 0.4% versus 0.5% expected. Now for all of the other PCE prints, so that's year over year, non-core, and then both month over month and year over year on a core basis. These were all A, hotter than the prior month, and B, exactly in line with estimates. So PCE year over year, 4.1%, core PCE month over month, 0.3%, core PCE year over year, 3.4%. So interesting look here, hotter than we were expecting, or hotter than prior month, but in line with what we were expecting. GDP, though, in the corner, this was the secret, I think, to this move up in the market that we had right after, 2.1%, better than the estimate here of 1.6%, suggesting growth. Let's take a look here at these CME FedWatch tool because the odds that rates will be holding steady also grew after these prints. Before the number, we had a 65% chance of rates being held, 35% chance or so of a hike. Now we've got a 70% chance of a hold, 30% chance of a hike. So obviously not a massive difference, but still a little bit of a change in the tide here. Now, what's also different is before this number, we were seeing chances that we could get up to 400 to 425 basis points here in rates heading into December of this year, January of next year. That's calmed down a lot. So as of this number, now we're basically seeing a 25 basis point hike in September, but maybe not as many hikes going forward here for that U.S. interest rate. Back to you.
As always, thank you, Adara. Thank you to the market, which is now the Qs above the volume-weighted average price. The market was already green, but we'll hit that key now because it's looking a heck of a lot better than it was before. Can we sustain? Can we sustain this breakout is going to be the key. Like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because still have, for me and DRAM, still have like the VWAP target, but we are holding the trend line up. Now we're looking like we're going to get into that volume-weighted average price. So, and this is, I just saw it, sit and spin was like SNDK is moving better than Micron. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons why, like one of the reasons I'm in DRAM over Micron is like Micron's the subject of everybody's attention. You know, it's the place where there's probably more profit taking going on. It might end up a little bit more choppy, so you can use it as like the futures, but I'd rather be in something else. That's why I'd rather play DRAM. Congratulations for those that found SNDK instead. There is something we do around this time.
Ooh. Oh.
It's 11:55. I remember. Sometimes I forget when Sean's away. I'll cop to that. We have an American flag today, which makes sense because, you know, the U.S. plays tonight. They've locked up their group, but I still think you always want to get the W, stay fresh. I have no idea. Like they're going to win the group whether they win or lose, I think, because that goal differential, like nothing can happen negatively to them. This is a weird one because we've got New Orleans blackened chicken. Okay, but yesterday it wasn't what we expected. All this fancy stuff said about the lunch, and it was just like a regular chicken, grilled chicken, just plain grilled chicken. It is what it is. But we've got southern corn and orzo salad with roast and cored cherry tomatoes, green onion, parsley, and lemon dressing. That sounds pretty good. And we've got Cajun roasted seasonal vegetables. So there's a bit of like a southern Cajun thing going on here, which I'm down with altogether. I'm definitely down with that. Although, you know, if you throw in some crawfish, that'd be even better because sometimes you just got to have that. Shout out to New Orleans. You've never been?
I've never been. Have you been?
I'm gonna make a strong suggestion here, which you can choose to take this one or not. But personally, at some point in your life, I would get down to New Orleans. You got to get down to New Orleans. It's food, music, you know, Bourbon Street's Bourbon Street.
Yeah.
I probably, you know, I'm old and married and have a kid now, so like whatever, it's probably not the same thing. But New Orleans is fantastic, man. Absolutely fantastic.
Go check it out, man.
Yeah, get yourself a hurricane and just wild out. Great place.
What does that mean? Get yourself a hurricane.
You know what? Just go and get one. Just leave it at that. The chat knows what I'm talking about.
Where do I find this said hurricane?
You just find. Where do you find a hurricane on Bourbon Street? Anywhere you look, dude. Anywhere you look, you are good. You are good to go.
Hurricane is
anywhere you look on Bourbon Street, you're good to go.
Okay. What does it consist of?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
How about this? A whole lot of rum.
Oh.
This rum and that rum and that rum and this rum.
Finds you.
Let's go to Adara before the hurricane blows us away.
One hurricane that might blow you away is this new IPO that I want to discuss here, Doncasters. Doncasters Group, this company was founded in 1778, so it's tried and true, it's tested, it's in the manufacturing space, specifically manufacturing parts for airplanes. It's in the aerospace area here. They're IPOing, they're going public today. IPO range, $28 to $32 a share. Currently, theoretical auction price or TAP, $39. So we're basically at this point poised to open above the top of that IPO price range. Here you've got offering amount, 858.6 mil. Shares offered about 23 million or so. Theoretical auction volume currently just under 800,000. So check out this DPC infographic on X at TTV Research if you're trying to prepare for this IPO. Back to you.
As always, thank you, Dara. I got bad news. The NASDAQ is accelerating and not holding the volume weighted average price. Yeah, we're getting the acceleration through. Oh, I don't want to do it. But I have to move. I got to move the trail up. That's what's happening. It's still holding. The DRAM's still holding higher, but I've got to move the stop up. This one might come out if we continue this push into the downside. It's just whatever it is, the NASDAQ can't seem to maintain. And if we're going to put some blame, because I like blaming certain stocks for our, right? Like why not pass the buck? Let's just if you're in a long right now, then let's just blame Apple. Sharif always calls Apple the dead one. And usually what I would say is, can we stop calling such a great stock the dead one? Today, Apple is the dead one. Today, Apple goes into the gates of hell. Now, for the record, Apple only goes in the gates of hell because of this moment right here. It's still Apple, and it's still absolutely fine. But what are we doing, Apple? What are we doing, Amazon? It's your fault, too. I'm just saying. Alphabet, we're good. We're good because you're still trend up. If you fall from here, it's not your fault. It's Apple's fault, and I'm sticking to that. For sure. Microsoft, you definitely get some of the blame. Microsoft, I'm telling you, you're playing today like England played versus Ghana, and if you continue to do it, then they might as well kick you out of the Mag 7. You've got to be better than this, Microsoft. Not feeling it. It's all right now. It's a Mag 7 that's weak. I think some of the bounce in Google probably had to do with how bad it was recently, and like it got woodshedded in yesterday's move. I think it got a little bit of relief rally because it was just overextended to a certain extent here for Alphabet. But no, they're all really dragging us down too much. Not looking very good whatsoever. I will, before we throw over to the midday, I know we haven't talked enough about BlackBerry. So everything, Wendy's was a distraction today. Sometimes the smaller cap runner that is good is the one with a positive catalyst, not necessarily the one with all of the hype and all the chatter and just the sexy short float. So I fell for I didn't trade Wendy's today, but I definitely distracted myself with it. Usually I'll put like something up that I think is a bit of a runner, and I had Wendy's for a continuation. It just never really set up. BlackBerry gave you everything you needed on earnings. It was technically perfect. Technically the perfect trade. Double top in the pre-market, breaks out that level before the open. The open dip goes right into that prior high. Wicks it, then just holds the volume weighted average price. That's a perfect setup. It's as good as it gets. So congratulations to anyone that was smart enough to play this instead of Wendy's, unless you were short Wendy's. But it's 11 o'clock. We'll see how this New Orleans themed lunch goes. I'm cautiously optimistic, but we'll enjoy it anyways. Joey Options is doing hard work today, filling in for Shauna and sticking with the midday. You're about to see more Joe. And the professor himself, Sharif, is in the building. And I hope at least he's trading some BlackBerry today.